Welcome to as spectacular a setting for a college basketball game as there has ever been. We are aboard the USS Carl Vinson at Naval Base Coronado in honor of Veterans Day. And I don't know who's more excited, the players to participate in an event like this, or the men and women of the military who have been such gracious hosts. Among the Hoops fans in attendance tonight, the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States of America, who will address the troops momentarily to highlight an event that no one here will ever forget.
It can inspire awe or waves of pride. It has patrolled the waters of the world, preserving our freedom. And on this Veterans Day, it transforms from aircraft carrier to arena. On the flight deck of the USS Carl Vinson, where fighter jets routinely take off, 2 storied basketball programs will take to a one-of-a-kind court and let it fly. For our veterans, for our love of the game, the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic.
What a scene, what a moment, what an environment here aboard the USS Carl Vinson. We've all got goosebumps right now. I know I can speak for all of us. It's the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic, the #1 team in the nation, North Carolina, taking on Michigan State. The president is here. The Tar Heels and Spartans are on their way to the court even as we speak for what is going to be an incredibly memorable night of basketball here in San Diego. And welcome everybody, Dan Schulman, to Dick Vitale, Jay Billis. Honored to be here. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams, Mr. Vitale, you would ever call a game aboard an aircraft carrier?
No, never. And I'll tell you one thing. I was in total awe yesterday, taking a tour with all the beautiful people. The men and women were unbelievable. I can't thank them enough. They represent our nation with such pride. And they also represent the best uniform of all, red, white, and blue. They are truly heroes. The real stars will be in the crowd. I'll tell you, it is absolutely awesome.
You talk about awesome, baby. We're in awe not only of this magnificent ship, but of the commitment of our men and women in uniform. I mean, you talk about having the #1 team in the country playing on this floor. They're playing in front of the #1 team in the world, the United States military.
Very well put by both of you. As an added bonus, yes, we actually get to see a basketball game, and #1 North Carolina is here. They are loaded, so much back from last season.
Well, you know what I love about them is that front court. I think it's the best front court in basketball when you suddenly talk about Hinson and Zeller, and then you factor in Harrison Barnes, multi-dimensional, might be the best wing player in America. He is dynamite. A question I have, Jay Billis, though, when you look at North Carolina, what about the play of Kendall Marshall, how important he is?
Well, he's important. He can't get in foul trouble, certainly can't get injured. Kendall Marshall averaged over 6 assists per game last year. I think he's got the best vision in passing of any point guard in America, and passes ahead. When he passes ahead on the break, Tyler Zeller runs the floor better than any big in the country. Michigan State has to take good shots, and they got to get back.
The Spartans are on the court right behind us. The Tar Heels are on their way. It's a very young, feisty Michigan State team that Tom Izzo's excited about, but he knows his team has a monumental challenge here as they take on North Carolina to open up the college basketball season for these 2 proud programs who, like all of us here, are so honored to be a part of this spectacular event. College basketball aboard the USS Carl Vinson. Let's talk a little bit about the playing conditions. Jay, we avoided the rain, thankfully. What about the wind? What about playing outdoors?
Well, most of these players don't play outdoors on playgrounds anymore. They play indoors. And Tom Izzo and Roy Williams, they both talked to their teams about it. They haven't talked too much, but you think Tom Izzo's worried about it? He's saying, hey, if the wind's blowing, tough. get to the rim and knock it in. If you got an open shot, take it. Our men and women in uniform, they adapt and overcome. You've got to adapt and overcome too.
Tyler Zeller said he hasn't played outdoors since he was in the 6th grade. The stage is a little larger here today. What about the emotion that you're feeling from the crowd here today?
Well, unbelievable. I think what really gets me is the unbelievable passion and pride that they represent. These people are so unique and so special for the love of their nation. But today, you know, we're talking about basketball. We look at North Carolina. Can they live up to the expectations? They've been unbelievable. I think the one thing that really stands out to me, 2005, 2009, they were rated number 1. Roy Williams embraced that opportunity to be number 1. And what happened, Jay? They went wire to wire and won the national title. I think the same could happen this year.
There's no question that they can. And I think when you look around in this wonderful setting, this is really about respect. It's about respect that the two programs have for each other in college basketball. And I think the respect that we all have for our veterans and our men and women in uniform right now. I can't tell you how honored I am to be here. I know you feel the same. Tremendous.
Overwhelming. 11 to Veterans Day. North Carolina, Michigan State, each school getting about 750 tickets. The rest going to members of the military, many of them members of the Navy, whose job it is to be on the USS Carl Vinson on a daily basis. And what outstanding, gracious host, so much work has gone into this event from so many people to make this event go from just an idea to an incredible happening that is now upon us here tonight. The president is on his way out. He's going to address the troops before the game begins. We've got all kinds of festivities before the game begins. And then we've got a great college basketball game for you as North Carolina takes on Michigan State to open up their season. Right now, let's toss it to the PA announcer here, Mark Neville.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard USS Carl Vinson. As today we welcome you to the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic, featuring the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Michigan State Spartans. Right now, please rise for the parading of the colors.
Go!
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Michelle Obama. Please remain standing as we honor this great nation with the national anthem, performed today by former Navy sailor and Motown recording artist, B. Taylor.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. How you feeling tonight? We are so fortunate to be able to witness two of the greatest basketball programs in history. Michigan State Spartans, North Carolina Tar Heels, two of the best coaches of all time, Coach Izzo, Coach Williams. So we are proud to be here and see a great sporting event, but the main reason we're here is on Veterans Day. We have an opportunity to say thank you. One of the greatest privileges of this job and one of the greatest responsibilities of this job is to serve as your commander-in-chief. And I can tell you that every day when I interact with our military, every day when I interact with the men and women in uniform, I could not be prouder to be an American. And that gratitude that we have for our men and women of the armed forces does not stop when they take off the uniform. When they come home, part of a long line of those who defended our freedom, we have a sacred trust to make sure that they understand how much we appreciate what they do. And that's not just on Veterans Day. That is every day of every year, where we salute them and we say thank you for making the sacrifices and for their families' sacrifices on our behalf. This week, throughout the week, we've been celebrating our veterans, but we have to turn our words into action. And so what we've done is made sure that Congress passed legislation that makes it a little bit easier for businesses to hire our veterans. We've put in place a series of reforms to help veterans make sure they get the counseling and the job placement that they need. The First Lady, along with Dr. Jill Biden, have put together something called Joining Forces that has now gotten commitments, 100,000 jobs for veterans and military spouses all across the country. And we are grateful for them for that effort. But every American citizen can make a solemn pledge today that they will find some opportunity to provide support to our troops, to those who are still active duty, to our National Guard, to our reservists, and to our veterans. And it's especially appropriate that we do it here because the USS Carl Vinson has been a messenger of diplomacy and a protector of our security for a long time. And the men and women who serve on this ship have done extraordinary service in the Pacific, in the Persian Gulf, in the Indian Ocean. It was from this aircraft carrier that some of the first assaults on Iraq were launched. This ship supports what's happening in Afghanistan. And I think some of you may know, because it's been reported, that
The men and women on the Carl Vinson were part of that critical mission to bring Osama bin Laden to justice. So to all our veterans, to all our men and women in uniform, we say thank you. And we want you to know that we are committed to making sure that we serve you as well as you have always served us. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
So much work has gone into making this event a reality. They began constructing the stands and the court 10 days ago here aboard the USS Carl Vinson. People working dawn to dusk and beyond, braving the elements and worried about the weather, but all has turned out fine, and it has turned into an extraordinary venue for a college basketball game against something that no one here will ever forget. We are getting ready for basketball. North Carolina and Michigan State, the #1 team of the nation, the North Carolina Tar Heels, as the Commander-in-Chief, President Obama, continues to meet and greet people and members of the military here aboard the Carl Vinson. Just a moment. Dick and Jay, I know that as we stood here 20 feet away from the President as he was talking, again, just yet another aspect of this that we will never forget. And President Obama continues to meet people here at the court with 5,000 people working, eating, sleeping on board for months at a time. A little more on the ship now. The USS Carl Vinson is often called a city at sea, but it's not at all like any city you would find inland. There are two sectors to this diverse world, the one above the flight deck and the one below. Chris Connolly with life below the flight deck on the USS Carl Vinson.
Good morning, Old Eagle team. Quicksand, this is the captain speaking. Hopefully you got to sleep in just a little bit. I know the flight deck crew is up here. They've been working already for the last couple of hours, getting ready for flight operations, and that's what we're going to do. We got to have a clean ship. We're going to have a lot of visitors come on board, so you want to put your best foot forward and show them what Carl Vinson's all about. We're getting ready to launch recovery airplanes. Let's be safe. Keep your heads on swivel. Captain out. I have all the talent on board, and it's my job to put that talent in the best position to execute the mission that we're assigned.
730, approach taking is 1.2, cleared down, port beam heading 042. 721, slight left course correct.
So we roughly have, with the air wing, almost 5,000 people on board. A small city. These young men and women are the best America has to offer. They're in the 99.99 percentile of all Americans who can and will serve their country. We normally fly about 12 to 14 hours a day. When we're flying, it takes 2 hours to prepare the aircraft carrier for flight operations, and after we've flown for 12 hours, it takes at least 2 hours to prepare the aircraft carrier for maintenance. Then, if anything needs to be done, you have to fix it. So those sailors out on the flight deck could work up to about 22 hours a day. The view is outstanding. I have no problems waking up and coming to work every day here. The best view is when you walk around the ship and you talk to the sailors and you see how well they're doing. That's a great view to see.
Impressive is not doing it justice. Awe-inspiring. Jay, we were talking when we came aboard the ship yesterday. You've never felt smaller in your life than when you board an aircraft carrier.
I'll tell you what, right now I've never felt safer
Yes.
than I've ever felt in my life. But just an incredible scene. And while the teams are warming up in this kind of setting, after hearing from our commander-in-chief, their hearts have to be beating out of their chest. I don't think they're going to have much of a rah-rah speech from their coaches in order to play their hearts out when they get on the floor.
I'll tell you one thing, Jay, I was really in awe and the goosebumps listening to the words about our veterans and how they've meant so much to all of us. And I think sometimes we all take it for granted when you think about our freedoms that we possess. I know I took a tour yesterday, then I had the opportunity yesterday to address some of the troops, and I can tell you this, the passion and pride that they have is so special, the love of the nation, and as you said, Jay, and said it so well, they represent the best uniform of them all, the best in the world. I don't think there's any comparison.
Let's bring Andy Katz in again. Andy?
Well, earlier when the teams first got here, Roy Williams, the North Carolina head coach, has been battling a case of vertigo. It's a condition that he's dealt with for many years, and I had to talk to Roy Williams back in the trailer where their locker room was. He had to sit down for quite a while to get his sort of balance. He said this started to come on yesterday. Now I just talked to him when he came out onto the floor, and he said he's starting to feel better, but you can tell by his body language, by his demeanor, he is still struggling with this, but he did tell me no matter what, he was going to be out here. He said this is by far one of the neatest things that he's ever been a part of, and a dream to participate in this game. As for the conditions, the wind actually is very still. Harrison Barnes, the North Carolina All-American, just telling me he was only concerned about the sunlight issue. The cloud cover has put that to rest. No rain. He thinks it's perfect. Now, the only thing of his concern right now is potential cold, whether or not it's going to get a little bit colder as the evening progresses.
Well, the sun is actually going to go down in about 25 or 30 minutes, and we'll have a brief stoppage during the game for the presentation of evening colors, which is a daily ritual here aboard an aircraft carrier. It's beautiful right now. Just a little bit of clouds, some blue skies, the sun beginning to set, and it might get a little bit chilly, but it's still awfully nice to be about to watch a basketball game on this historic occasion in this incredible environment aboard the USS Carl Vinson. Let's talk basketball a little bit, Dick. I think a lot of people thought Henson, Zeller, Barnes, some or all of them might go to the NBA. They all came back for another year in Chapel Hill, and that's why just about everybody thinks they're the #1 team in the nation.
Well, you know, I talked to Roy, and when I spoke to Roy, I should look at Zeller. He said, you know, some people said, wow, what about the pressure having 7 players, your top 7 returning? He said, heck, I think it's pressure if you lose your 7 best players. He said, I like the idea, I got him back. Well, Barnes is the guy that can really score. Came on strong the second half of the year. Averaged about 19 a game, shot 46%. Jay, in the first half, he shot 36% and averaged about 11. He was a different player.
I think he relaxed, and he's even more relaxed this year. When he puts the ball on the deck with one dribble and pulls up, I'm not sure there's a defender in the country, Dick, that can stop him. And, you know, for Michigan State, when Tom Izzo scheduled this game, I think he thought that the North Carolina front court was going to be in the NBA.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And now he's having to face them on this aircraft carrier. But Tom has never been the type of coach to back down from a challenge. The challenge is, I think the Michigan State offense has got to help its defense. They turned the ball over at a high rate last year. They cannot afford turnovers. They cannot afford quick shots. And they cannot afford to give North Carolina second shots because that front line is a very good rebounding front line.
Time now for tonight's one-on-one as we look at one key storyline for each team that we are focusing on heading into this game between Michigan State and North Carolina. And Dick, for Michigan State, they lost some people, but Tom Izzo thinks he's got a young, hungry, feisty team. He's excited about his club.
Yeah, he really is. He loves the chemistry. He said it's the best chemistry he's had in the last 3 years. You know, but chemistry can only take you so far, guys. You have to have players. You know, chemistry works well in the lab when you're doing your work in terms of science. But you've got to have players to offset the talent level that they're going to face, Jay. And I know you've been there as a player and you understand that. But we look at Michigan State. I asked you earlier, earlier, we're going to get enough scoring to be able to offset a team of the caliber of North Carolina.
Well, that's the key. They're going to have to manufacture some points off the offensive glass. It's a good rebounding team, even though last year wasn't one of its better rebounding teams, only out-rebounding opponents by 4 a game. But Draymond Green is a real key with his versatility, and I think at the point, Keith Appling, a real key as well. It's the first time he's going to be playing the point for the majority of the game. And Draymond Green, I think he's got to be the leader out there for this team, especially as young as they are in this setting.
I agree with you on that. I think that Draymond Green, you said the key word, versatility. I don't think as many players as versatile as he is.
We'll step aside for a moment. The starting lineups are on the other side of this commercial break, and then it's time for basketball here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, North Carolina and Michigan State. Coming up.
Being involved in this entire event is one of the greatest thrills that I've ever had as a coach.
This game is more than basketball. Just because it's on Veterans Day and that's what it's representing, it's going to mean a lot.
Veterans Day is going to mean a lot to me, and hopefully, I can come out there and help them enjoy for one day that they get to just relax and watch the game.
Hopefully it'll be a tradition that's going to go on and honor the people of the greatest team in the world, and that's our military.
And again, as the president said, that is the main reason why we are here, to honor the members of the military. Those aboard the USS Carl Vinson have been involved in first strikes of Operation Enduring Freedom. Also, in 2010, they assisted a massive part of the humanitarian relief effort after the earthquake devastated Haiti. And then in 2011, as President Obama said, reportedly the site of the Osama bin Laden burial at sea. The ship named after Carl Vinson, who was a representative from Georgia for 50 years. And moments ago, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it with my own eyes. Dick Vitale going onto the court, breaking up the scrum, and bringing the president over, saying, "Mr. President, could you come over, please, and meet my friends?" And he did, and he came over and was very gracious, posed for a picture as your wife Lorraine took the picture. And, just a regular guy who loves basketball coming over to say hello, huh?
But what about he knew all about Jay's game? He said, "Jay, you look like you still can play. You got some game."
He knew about my game. He said, "You guard me." Yeah. He wanted me to guard him. He knew he'd score on me.
Boy, it was pretty special. And again, so many people here are just so excited, and the hair stands up on your arm. You get the goosebumps over and over and over again. With the president here, the secretary of the Navy is here. So many dignitaries are here. James Worthy, Magic Johnson are here, the honorary captains of North Carolina and Michigan State, respectively. And again, as we just heard from the coaches, an event that we hope will continue. But boy, for this first time, this has been awfully exciting. We haven't even tipped the ball off yet.
It's really been exciting. From the moment I walked in, I ran into Steve Mariucci. You got to hear Mr. Nick Bollettieri, tennis fame. You have here Dan Gilbert, the owner of the, he went to Michigan State, the owner of the Cavaliers. In fact, almost hired Tom Izzo. Came very close to going to Cleveland. That was before, though. Magic coaching him without LeBron James, who I know a lot of guys don't agree with me. I still think is the best player in basketball.
Well, one of those special guests you just mentioned, Magic Johnson, is here, and he's with our Andy Katz.
Thanks, Dan. Magic, throughout the course of your career, you've had some unbelievable moments as a player, obviously, but you never played in a venue like this. What do you think it'll be like for the players?
Well, it's going to be great for them because now they're just happy the basketball game is about to start. Only thing they got to adjust to is the wind. And outside shooters got to adjust to the rim and the wind. If they can adjust to that, no problem. Other than that, it's basketball. We all used to grow up on the playground, wind, rain, snow. So we know how to play in these elements. And both teams will be fine. When you got the #1 team ranked in the country in North Carolina, that's a lot of firepower. They'll adjust easy. I think for us, we got a young team, Michigan State, but we're going to get better as the season goes along, especially when we're playing teams like North Carolina and then Duke in our second game.
All right, enjoy this, Magic.
Oh, look, God has blessed me. This is a bucket list moment for me. I am so happy to be a part of this, and God bless our men and women who serve us every single day and risk their lives. This is a blessing. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Thank you for what you do for us.
Thanks, Magic. Back to you, Dan.
Andy, thank you. Magic, well said. Time now for the starting lineups, brought to you by State Farm. Let's join PA announcer Mark Neville.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic starting lineups. First, for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. At one guard, a 6'3" junior from Rahway, New Jersey, number 1, Dexter Strickland. At guard, a 6'4" sophomore from Dumfries, Virginia, number 5, Kendall Marshall. At forward, a 6'11" junior from Tampa, Florida, number 31, John Henson. At forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Ames, Iowa, number 40, Harrison Barnes. And at forward, a 7-foot senior from Washington, Indiana, number 44, Tyler Zeller. The head coach of the Tar Heels in his 24th season, Roy Williams. And the Tar Heels honorary captain for today's game, a North Carolina and Laker great, 7-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA champion, and member of the Naismith Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, James Worthy. Now let's meet the starters for the Michigan State Spartans. At one guard, a 6'1" sophomore from Detroit, Michigan, number 11, Keith Appling. At guard, a 6'6" freshman from Gary, Indiana, number 22, Brandon Dawson. At guard, a 6'2" senior from Kokomo, Indiana, number 30, Brandon Wood. At forward, a 6'7" senior from Saginaw, Michigan, number 10, Draymond Green. And at center, a 6'10" sophomore from Dayton, Ohio, number 5, Adrian Payne. The Spartans head coach in his 17th season, Tom Izzo. And the Spartans honorary captain is a Michigan State and Laker great, a 12-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA MVP, 5-time NBA champion, and a Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen, Irvin Magic Johnson.
There you have it, the starting lineups for North Carolina and Michigan State. The Spartans are the home team, both teams wearing special camouflage uniforms in honor of this event. Jay was saying earlier, Dick, that would give him an excuse not to know where his man is when he's out there playing defense on him. And some camo shoes for Michigan State as well. This is just great. I mean, no matter how you slice it, from all angles, Jay, this is just great.
I've never been a part of anything quite like this. Yeah. It is, somebody used the word bucket list. And what a tremendous honor it is to be here.
Tell you one thing, the venue is probably the best I've seen in my 33 years working at ESPN. It's just an incredible sight. It's just unreal. The people here have been so they've been so hospitable. Just unbelievable. Hospitality has been fantastic.
And really, the weather conditions are perfect right now. A very slight breeze. The forecast of rain, that is not materialized. Mostly clear skies overhead. And for those who may be wondering, I mean, there's no sensation that we are on a ship right now. It's as if we are on land here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, this big sturdy ship. Harrison Barnes last season really took off in the second half of the year after Kendall Marshall became the starting point guard for North Carolina. Barnes took his game to another level, including that 40-point game against Clemson in the ACC tournament.
Well, you know what made him special as well? I remember some games, he was so clutch down the stretch. Clutch against Miami, Florida State. You and I had that game, made big, big shots.
You can see on the back of the uniforms of both teams, instead of the players' names, it simply says USA on everybody's jerseys. And we are underway. Glad you're with us here on Veterans Day to honor the troops and enjoy some basketball here in San Diego.
Man-to-man defense right now by Michigan State. Trying to deny him down in that post, Jay.
You're going to have to come double because one-on-one it's going to be awfully difficult to take on North Carolina, especially because of their offensive rebounding.
which John Henson shows us right there, an early lead for the Tar Heels.
I tell you, I think he's going to have a big-time year this year. He showed moments of that last year, but I think his offensive game, Jay, he's going to get a lot better.
Keith Appling, number 11 at the point for Michigan State. Of course, Kalen Lucas is gone. Appling now takes over as the primary point guard. Draymond Green misses the jumper.
What a block out by Tyler Zeller.
Tell you one thing, when you look at experience factor, obviously the edge goes big time to North Carolina. They only have 2 players that play 20 minutes or more a game in Green and Appling.
Zeller, no. He's missed a couple of jump hooks. And the rebound of Green. A little strong off the glass there for Brandon Dawson, a very talented freshman, 6'6", 220 out of Gary, Indiana. And Carolina, as they always like to do, down the floor in a hurry, and no problem shooting the jumper outdoors for Harrison Barnes.
Tell you one thing, he does a great job, as you said earlier, Jay, when he puts the ball on the floor, that one bounce, almost utilizes that as a pass. And what about the vision? I know it looked like a simple pass, but the great vision of Kendall Marshall.
Well, that's why I think Kendall Marshall is one of the, nice backdoor. They just couldn't complete it, trying to take advantage of the overplay. That's one of the reasons I think Kendall Marshall is such a great point guard. Not only his vision, but he passes ahead. Now, with the ball in his hands, he's not as fast as Ty Lawson was, but because he passes ahead, his team can run as fast as Ty Lawson's team did.
North Carolina with their 5 starters back, their top 7 scorers. Barnes like shooting the ball here on the aircraft carrier. Looks like 6-0 early for the Heels.
Well, you got to beat him to the spot. The one thing that you're really cautious of, and I know it was a real concern of Tom Izzo, not to give them that big spurt.
It was just a simple little flex cut and didn't jump to the ball to get in front.
And good work on the offensive glass by the Spartans. Dawson with the basket to put Michigan State on the board.
He's going to be a special player. He's just got to work a little bit more on his perimeter game. Came out with a big reputation out of high school.
He doesn't have the body of a freshman, that's for sure, as we have our first foul. By the way, gives us a great opportunity to say that the officials assigned to this game are all retired military personnel. James Breeding, who was in the Air Force, Tony Green, who was also in the Air Force, and Mike Reed, who was in the Army. So an honor to have them at this game as well. Marshall the 3.
That's a shot he's got to take, and one he's got to start hitting, because everybody's going to clamp down inside on those big guys.
Yeah, you're going to play soft on him. You're going to make him have to make that perimeter shot.
Green wants a chance to take Henson one-on-one. Left-handed hook short. Follow is good for Derek Nix. The big guy is about 30 pounds lighter than he was at the end of last season. The stamina is much better.
And both scores for Michigan State have been offensive rebounds.
Nix with a rebound. Appling pushing. After a 6-0 lead in the opening moments for North Carolina. 2 buckets in a row for Michigan State. Now a turnover.
Turnover city, baby. Threw that up in the crowd. Trying to get to one of our real stars.
What happens if it goes over the side? If he throws it in the ocean, so to speak.
Hey, look at Zelly. You know what really shocked me, Jay? I didn't realize he averaged 25.4 in the NCAA tournament. We're not talking 1 game, 4 games.
Boy, he's so skilled, and there's a mismatch. There's no way that Brandon Wood is going to be able to guard Harrison Barnes if he switched off on him or has to guard him down in that low post. And you can see that Roy Williams is trying to get Harrison Barnes some more opportunities. Used him off a flex cut, trying to screen him into the low post to get him some more post-up opportunities.
Wood a transfer from Valparaiso. Lob too high for Henson, and Nix comes down with the ball.
You know, I had Brandon Wood in the game last year while you guys were working. I did that game between Valparaiso and Missouri State. Very impressive player. He should be able to help them.
And he did right there, knocking down the 3. Michigan State has the lead.
Well, that's his skill. His skill is to be able to make the perimeter shot. And as you said earlier, Jay, he put 30 on the board against North Carolina last year.
Henson shovels it off to Barnes. And a foul call. Well, another very unique thing that we're going to have here in this game tonight is the presentation of the evening colors. We mentioned it briefly a while ago as the sun sets, and sunset is supposed to be 4:49 Pacific time, so just 4 or 5 minutes from now. We're going to have a stoppage in this game, and we will have the ceremony that takes place every day on this and every other aircraft carrier in the Navy. So it could be going into a timeout or just at a whistle during the game, but it'll be another very unusual aspect of this game here tonight.
the free throw line really hurt them early last year. They got beaten 3 games where they shot so poorly. Minnesota, Vanderbilt, and Illinois on the free throw line. And that's going to be a concern. You're going to go to the line a great deal. You're going to make those free throws.
Appling at the point, more of a 2-guard last year for Michigan State, calling out a play.
This is where they'll get an initial backdoor look out of this 1-4 set.
Green can shoot it, can pass it. Air ball on that shot to take us to our first media timeout here aboard the USS Carl Vinson. First 6 points for North Carolina, the next 7 for Michigan State. The commander-in-chief is here enjoying himself. The presentation of the evening colors aboard the Carl Vinson when we return.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Quicken Loans, engineered to amaze. State Farm, for auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better state. And Coca-Cola Zero, real Coke taste and 0 calories.
Welcome back aboard the USS Carl Vinson here on Coronado Island. Up to 75 aircraft when they're in their normal line of work. Up to 75 aircraft going to be here aboard this aircraft carrier at one point in time. We're having a basketball game here tonight, and here's Mark Neville, the PA announcer.
As USS Carl Vinson observes evening colors, please rise for the ceremonial lowering of the national ensign.
So there you have it, the presentation of the evening colors here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, coming during that last stoppage of play. Now we get back to basketball here between North Carolina and Michigan State. The Quicken Loans Carrier Classic. Dan Schulman, Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, Andy Katz, all with you here on Coronado Island, this spectacular setting. And the players, how do you think, guys, they have responded to playing in unusual conditions, outdoors and so forth?
Well, you know, it's been a contrasting style, obviously, and it's been really up and down. But I want to ask Jay right here. Hey, Jay, when I look at North Carolina, if there's one little Achilles heel I see, what about perimeter shooting, making threes?
That's the issue. They're going to have to make perimeter shots. They were not a great perimeter shooting team last year, but they do have P.J. Hairston, who's an outstanding shooter. And I'll tell you one thing, though. I think Michigan State is going to have to continue to do a good job defending without fouling. They've got 3 team fouls thus far. North Carolina, not a 1 yet. So Michigan State has to keep North Carolina out of the one-on-one if they want to win this game.
You know, it's a great point. I'll tell you why. Last year, North Carolina, they took 878 free throws to the opponent's 580. They made 208 more free throws. They get to the line, so you got to keep them off that line.
No basket. The offensive foul on the drive called on Appling.
Tyler Zeller did a really nice job to get outside of that new charge circle, kept his heels right on it, just waited patiently, and Keith Appling charged right into him. That's where Appling's got to pull up and shoot a little floater over the top or draw Zeller to him and dump it off.
You know, I like that being on the floor. I think it gives the referee a real, true opportunity as opposed to last year.
Zeller working on Nix, and they're just not staying down right now for Tyler Zeller, who's had some very good looks, but is 0 for 4 already.
Yeah, but he'll have a big day. Before it's over, he'll roll around the rim. Eventually, they're going to go down, and it'll go down like 5 in a row.
Yeah, you like the opportunity that close to the basket. Zeller shoots a very good percentage. He's got great hands. Michigan State trying to get some back doors to try to loosen up this Carolina defense.
Draymond Green misses the jumper. Nix with the follow. Michigan State up by 3.
I tell you, North Carolina to me looks a little soft on the glass right now.
That's exactly what's happened. They're getting dominated on the offensive glass.
Marshall misses the 3. The rebound to Austin Thornton, who's coming off the bench for Michigan State. This is a very emotional night for him. His brother was a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, serving here in San Diego County. He is in the crowd here tonight.
Yeah, he was interviewed by Hannah Storm before the game.
Zeller the steal.
I think the one great thing they've done a great job is they're not allowed any transitions at all. He can play, man.
Dexter Strickland with a lay-in. Carolina back within 1. They want to get down the floor as quickly as they can.
You know, Strickland to me is a driver and slasher. He is not going to be a point guard, even though they're trying to utilize him as a backup to Marshall at the point.
But what a great shot fake that Dexter Strickland had on that other end. Austin Thornton just didn't stay down on.
They played at a great high school, St. Patrick's and Elizabeth.
John Henson with the block. Tuesday, the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon ends with the inaugural State Farm Champions Classic doubleheader. What a great new event this is. At 7 Eastern, Duke takes on to Michigan State. Then at 9 Eastern, to Kentucky and to Kansas from Madison Square Garden in New York. Coverage begins with College Game Day driven by State Farm at 6 Eastern. If Duke wins its first 2 games, then Mike Krzyzewski will go for record-breaking win number 903 that night against Michigan State. Thornton for 3. Another offensive rebound, and the putback for Green.
They are dominating the interior. They are really getting up on that glass, and they're so aggressive. And I'll tell you one thing, they're controlling the tempo of the game right now.
This is something that Michigan State emphasizes every day. They go after the ball, a relentless pursuit of rebounds on both ends. And their game plan is to limit North Carolina to 1 shot on the defensive end and to get second shots over and over again on the offensive end.
Green, by the way, is not wearing his normal number 23. He's wearing number 10 just tonight in honor of Delvon Rowe, his teammate the last 3 years, who, Jay, after so many years and so many operations, just finally the knees, he just couldn't play anymore, and he decided to retire.
Too many operations, and Delvon Rowe, a terrific young man, and he's an actor now.
Yes.
Member of the Screen Actors Guild, represented by CAA. He's got movie deals all over the place.
Wow.
Barnes
CAA, that's big time, man. That's big time, Jay.
Did you hear his first role is playing a basketball player whose career is cut short by injuries? I think he'll do pretty well in that.
I got a feeling. Did he play Shakespeare?
Yes, he did. Thornton, good look inside. Green, too strong. Follow is good. They're on the glass time and time again against Carolina.
They're owning that glass big time.
The 3 from the wing, too strong for Reggie Bullock. Good outside shooter.
See, I think he could be a key player coming back from a knee surgery. He's a guy who came in with a reputation, Bullock, as able to make that perimeter shot, and somebody's got to make it to loosen up the defense on the interior. Look at him shaking on the glass here.
Well, nobody's boxing out. You got to turn and get a body on somebody and push them back out away from the basket. North Carolina's getting pushed under the basket, and Michigan State going right over the top of them.
Hey, I see James Worthy over there. Didn't you used to box him out all the time?
No, I never had the opportunity.
Alex Gauna has checked into the game now for Michigan State. Brandon Dawson in the game as well, the freshman out of Gary, Indiana. Imagine him beginning his career against the #1 team in the nation on an aircraft carrier with the president watching. That's a lot to handle in your first game at the collegiate level.
They're really high on him, though. They think he's going to be a special player.
Appling, strong move inside, follow no good, tapped again.
Look at them owning a glass.
Adrian Payne up with it, and will go to the line.
North Carolina just standing flat foot. They're not really getting up at all. Not aggressive.
A very determined effort by Michigan State in the early going on a 13-2 run right now here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, where the fun is just beginning here tonight.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Quicken Loans, engineered to amaze. State Farm, for auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better state. And Coca-Cola Zero, real Coke taste and 0 calories.
Welcome back to the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic here aboard the USS Carl Vinson. What beautiful shots you are seeing here tonight. And tonight's game being broadcast not only in HD, but in 3D as well. We're told from the gang in the truck with the glass sun and the 3D monitors that it is beyond spectacular right now. And just the weather is gorgeous. Pink sky, just a little bit of cloud as the sun sets. And how about the Michigan State Spartans, down 6-0 early, and ever since then have dominated on the glass, and Tom Izzo's group is on a 14-2 run.
I think one of the keys so far has been the unbelievable ability of Michigan State to deny them in transition. They have not allowed North Carolina to get up in transition, which really is their game. Their game is to run up and down that floor and utilize the fast break.
Well, thus far, North Carolina's had to take the ball out of the net because they're giving up so many second shots, and unless they do a better job on the glass to be able to run, the tempo is going to be Michigan State's.
Tempo's so important when you play North Carolina.
No question.
It really is. I mean, you got to be able to make it a half-court game to have a chance. You got to hope they're not making any perimeter shots.
And there you can see the rebounding margin. What they did in 08, 09, and 09, 010 is what Tom Izzo really wants from his team on a year-in, year-out basis. If Nix can play more minutes and Payne has gotten stronger, they've got two big guys on the inside who can really do a number on the glass.
You know, Tom Izzo's club preseason last year was number 2 in America and really stumbled. But one of the reasons they stumbled, I mean, they had players suspended. You had to get rid of the kid Lucius. And then the kid transferred by the name of Allen. They're both up at Iowa State where the mayor there is becoming the Father Flanagan of coaching.
Travis Trice, a freshman who just checked in, comes up with a steal for Michigan State and then turns it right back over to Carolina.
Well, that Michigan State did everything right on that out-of-bounds play. Got through every screen, defended it perfectly, got the steal, and that's where Trice has to keep the ball and try to get it all the way to the rim instead of just throwing it up for grabs.
Foul on Payne, his second.
They think eventually Trice will take over at the point guard slot. They think once he gets a little experience that he's a true, genuine point guard who thinks pass first rather than shot.
Carolina, you talked about this early, Jay, into the bonus with 11:44 to go in the half.
Well, that makes them awfully difficult to deal with. You throw the ball inside and continue to attack off the dribble. You know, North Carolina, with the way they play and their depth, they can wear you out and foul you out, and that free throw line is going to catch up to you. Put teams into the 1-and-1 this early, and it's advantage to North Carolina.
Yeah, it showed last year. It's unbelievable. Over 208 free throws, they made more than their opponents. And they're a deeper team this year than last year because of Hairston and McAdoo.
Michigan State right now with a freshman in the game, a redshirt freshman, a transfer, Tom Izzo. Again, it's a much different team right now for the Spartans with a lot of guys gone from last year. Payne up strong, and he draws the foul on Henson.
Payne did a really nice job. He's their best low post scorer and showed a lot of patience there. He's got a very nice jump hook, but he powered it to the basket. And if John Henson, he's got a little bit of a strength disadvantage with Payne, but if he just stays straight up and down with those long arms, he's like Inspector Gadget. He's going to bother that shot. Make him finish over you instead of fouling.
You know, Payne was a kid who came in last year, couldn't practice really. Last year at high school, had shoulder surgery. And they really think he's got a terrific upside. He's got the size, as you said. He's got the length, the wingspan.
North Carolina's defensive intensity on that last possession was much better than it had been on earlier possessions. I think that some of the substitutions that Roy Williams has made has really lifted their defensive intensity.
Dawson, Dick back in for Michigan State. P.J. Hairston into the game for the first time for Carolina, 6'5" freshman out of Greensboro they're very excited about.
Yeah, he can shoot the basketball. They're looking for him to give them some perimeter scoring. But they're very passive. I thought North Carolina, especially on the glass, has been very passive. I mean, you got to wake up when people are kicking your butt, man. You got to wake up.
Here's Strickland now at the point with Marshall on the bench. Henson puts it on the floor, left hand, yes!
Nice play. He can utilize either hand from out of Tampa, Florida. Long, lean, and he can be mean.
And that's where Adrian Payne has to stay down. John Henson's not going to shoot that ball, and even if he does, put a little late pressure on it. That's a shot you want him to have, not one right next to the rim and let him get all the way to the basket.
Yeah, you want him to shoot the ball because he can't shoot from 15 feet, and it's a struggle.
I'll tell you, if there's anything about playing at this level in this environment that is bothering Brandon Dawson, he's keeping it to himself. He's off to a great start.
How about the body on him for a freshman? That young man could play. He could play for D'Antonio.
Michigan State ball on the turnover.
Tight end. Maybe another Tony Gonzalez, one of the great tight ends, played for California football, basketball.
Here's the throwback, and that just that little shot fake, and Payne went for it, and that opened up the lane. Nobody steps in to take a charge.
Nobody rotated over to give any kind of help. There's a strong Dawson on the interior. They were talking about him to me, and I don't see that yet in terms of when they had Richardson. Richardson was a long-range shooter who developed to be a shooter his second year. Now in the NBA is one of the better shooters.
Another rejection by Henson. Dawson comes up with the loose ball. And Jay kind of tried to alter the shot and spin it up there instead of going up strong.
It was just that little double clutch he took because John Henson was there to block that shot. And Henson, this is where Henson can be really dangerous. Not just blocking and changing shots, but out of bounds underneath. He won't let anything come in near the basket with those long arms. It's difficult to run an out of bounds play with Henson guarding the ball.
Trice for three, in and out. Another offensive rebound for the Spartans.
They're just out hustling. You can talk all the terminology we want. It is simple being out hustling.
Henson alters a shot right there. He's doing his job at the defensive end. Strickland with a crossover and a foul on Trice. Well, the big story statistically in this game, one that's got to be bothering Roy Williams, is the offensive rebounding of Michigan State. The Tar Heels getting dominated on the glass.
Well, getting dominated, as Jay said earlier, it denies you the opportunity. You're not going to rebound. You can't get in transition.
Well, there's some standing around and watching. There's not enough blocking out. There's not enough physicality on the part of North Carolina on the glass, and that's really kept Michigan State in the lead in this. Their ability to get second shot opportunities and extra possessions.
And here it is, trying to play a little tempo basketball, making sure they get some execution. Don't take bad shots. That's really how you define good coaches, shot selection.
If you don't get anything quick off the break, then you run offense and you make the other team guard you. Give the defense a chance to make a mistake. And
James Michael McAdoo into the game, freshman for Carolina, number 43, distant cousin of former Tar Heel Bob McAdoo, who played in Chapel Hill back in 1972, led him to a Final Four. Strickland, beautiful feed, and there's McAdoo with the lay-in.
And there's their transition game, and that's what they got to do. They got to run. Their game is really getting numbers, 3-on-2, 4-on-3. Nice play by Strickland right there.
That was just a breakdown in transition defense by Michigan State. Nobody stopped the ball. That was way too easy. It's not like that was a 1,000-mile-an-hour break.
Do you guys see any evidence that playing outdoors has had any impact on the players here tonight?
Not yet. Not at all. I didn't see any.
I mean, it's funny that the floor gives you the feeling of a big arena, a Final Four. It's just when you look up into the sky and see clouds instead of the ceiling that you notice the change.
What a terrific city. In fact, when I was determining where there was to live, I came down to Sarasota and San Diego.
We are here on Coronado Island aboard the USS Carl Vinson. The Quicken Loans Carrier Classic. Offensive foul going against Michigan State.
Good call right there by Tony Green. Tony Green there caught him with a little push off.
Now they walk 94 feet.
That was good execution, though. They didn't score, but really good ball movement. They reversed it, 3-4 passes down into the post.
Well, they run so many great set plays. They have like 60 of them.
President Obama, the First Lady Michelle Obama here enjoying it. He likes his basketball, and of course President Obama, remember he ran a little bit with the Tar Heels, right, a couple of years ago. Played some pickup ball with them.
Well, basketball's a family thing. Michelle Obama's brother, Craig Robinson, is the head basketball coach at Oregon State.
Oh, let me tell you, you won't believe this. I put up who's the best coach out there in college sports today. And most people in Twitter came back, but obviously Coach K. And drive down the lane. I got a tweet. President Obama, so I disagree with you. I'm biased. A guy down at Oregon State is the best. That's a true story.
I hope you didn't say anything back. Yes, sir, Mr. President. Henson posting on Green, slips inside, can't finish. And Green, an ill-advised pass, and we've got an injured player down. It's Dawson for Michigan State, down and injured behind the play, holding his right knee.
And he slipped on that sticker in the middle of the floor. That's something that Tom Izzo has been complaining about for years, those stickers in the middle on the floor. And I saw him slip on it, and I hope he's okay.
Yeah, we've talked about that often. You go down many of the arenas, have those stickers all over the place. They create nothing but a problem.
See, he's complaining about the sticker right now.
Yep.
This has been something that Tom Izzo has talked about for years, that's a dangerous condition on the basketball floor.
Like he caught the inside of his right foot, it stuck, and then it maybe affected his knee. You can see they are looking at his knee as he went down. It was an obvious discomfort. This is this young man's first collegiate game. He's been playing great, and hopefully this is not a serious injury. We'll try to update you on his condition when we come back.
And his wife Elena, as a small token.
Welcome back to San Diego aboard the USS Carl Vinson, the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic. This is one of the 10 Nimitz class aircraft carriers in the Navy. The man who's in charge of all of this, the Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus, is with Andy Katz.
Thanks, Dan. And the Navy, of course, had to sign off on this event. Why did you?
Well, it's a great opportunity to honor veterans on Veterans Day, and it's a great opportunity to let America see what our sailors and Marines are all about and what the Navy can do in a lot of different ways.
Obviously, the Carl Vinson got a lot of publicity earlier this year, but also earlier, this vessel was instrumental in some humanitarian aid. How often does that occur?
It happens a lot. The Carl Vinson was the first one into Haiti after the earthquake. Another one of our carriers, the Reagan, first one into Japan after the tsunami. These ships can do anything, and they're always ready to do whatever comes over the horizon at them.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what's going to happen with Navy? Are they going to join the Big East? You said that crosses your desk as well.
You know, wherever Navy goes, they're going to do great.
Thank you, Secretary.
Andy, thank you. We had a chance to have a great conversation with Secretary Mabus yesterday. He's just so excited and has been so helpful in orchestrating this event. You know, he has hundreds of thousands of people there under his jurisdiction as the Secretary of the Navy. Just an awesome responsibility for him.
Hey, maybe they should have a preliminary game. Have West Point play against the Naval Academy.
Strickland runs right into the big body of Draymond Green, who comes up with a block shot, and then an over-the-back foul going against Carolina.
Okay, North Carolina's first shot defense has been pretty good. The problem is they've given up so many second shots. They've given up 12 offensive rebounds in this ball game to Michigan State. And still they've limited, even with all those second chance opportunities, Michigan State's only shooting 31%.
Exactly. I'll tell you one thing, you define whether a team's being aggressive playing basketball when you think about offensive rebound. That's one of the signs, forcing turnovers, blocking shots, getting on the offensive glass. So that edge has to go to Michigan State.
John Henson with another block for Carolina. Zeller inside, and it's going to be a held ball.
Well, they are getting the ball deep into the post, but they're not being strong with it. Zeller should score that or get fouled most every time, and he can be and is a lot stronger than that move indicates.
And there's Henson, another block shot, using the left hand that time. He's had 3 blocks and probably 2 or 3 more shots stick that he's altered.
He'll be one of the better shot blockers in America. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Keith Appling slipped last time down the floor and pointed out to Tony Green, one of the officials, there was a wet spot on the floor. Now that's a different situation, we presume, than what we saw from Brandon Dawson, who injured his right knee. There he is walking back to the bench. And as you said, Jay, this is not a new thing. The decals, the stickers that are on the court can be very, very dangerous.
Well, it's something that coaches, most notably Tom Izzo, have brought up not only to the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, but in numerous coaches meetings, that essentially, if you can't paint it on the floor, it shouldn't be on the floor, because a lot of coaches believe that those decals can present a dangerous condition for the players.
I don't think there's any doubt about it, and we've been seeing that quite often. We don't believe they should be out there.
Appling misses the 3, saved by Thornton. Gowda trying to gather, blocked from behind by Barnes.
Barnes just took it right out of his hands. What a block.
Marshall back into the game at the point. And it'll be out of bounds to Michigan State as we check in with Andy Katz again.
Well, Dawson tweaked that right knee, as Jay mentioned, on the logo. That's what the Michigan State medical staff saying. They had him doing some defensive slide drills behind the basket here, running up and down, and the medical staff telling me that they expect that he can still rejoin the team here. They're just going to see how he feels. Obviously, as you can see there, he's still rubbing that knee, but all the people on the staff said, the logo. It's the logo.
Now, one thing, they need him. Need him badly. He had 5 rebounds there before he went out.
The night has descended into complete darkness now. Sunset about 25 minutes ago. Pitch black skies right now, but a beautiful setting here aboard the Carl Vinson right now as Henson, who's having a big first half, comes down with a rebound. Strickland in transition, lays it in to tie.
That's North Carolina right there, but it's very effective, very efficient. If they get the ball out, and Henson, I think he's going to have a big year, Jay. I really do. I think you're going to see double-doubles almost every game from him.
And what a pass by Kendall Marshall. You talk about passing ahead and great vision. Tremendous.
Here they go. Up and away. Anchors away, baby. Little Jam City. Hey, Jimmy Larinaga told me the NFL. He saw Marshall as a 6th grader, and the first thing that came in his mind, Lenny Wilkins. Now, you don't remember Lenny Wilkins.
I do.
Come on now.
Not as a player, just as when he was coaching the Sonics.
I remember
Hall of Fame as a player and a coach.
Providence.
Carolina back on top. Their first lead since 6-4 after the dunk by Henson.
They've really picked up their defensive intensity.
Russell Bird into the game now for the Spartans, and Thornton slips.
Bird's a guy they're looking for the 3-point shot. They got to find somebody to make some threes. Michigan State.
But what a great pass ahead. That's tremendous vision and thread the needle, and Dexter Strickland can really run.
And I'm going to tell you, that is how Lenny Wilkins used to pass the basketball. Getting it out real quick. Lenny Wilkins, way before your time, guys. One of my favorites. Had great vision, feel, understanding of the game. Left-hander. Played for the Providence Friars. Produced some great guards there. Vinny Ertz, Ernie Gregorio, way before your time.
Now a foul going against Gauna, redshirt freshman out of Eaton Rapids, Michigan. Michigan State relying on a lot of guys who either weren't in the program or were, but were redshirting last year. Russell Bird in the game, a guy who had a couple of surgeries on his foot last year. Gauna was a redshirt last year. There's as much unknown, Jay, for Tom Izzo maybe as there's been for any of his Michigan State teams this year.
There's no question. They're going to have to find a rotation, and they're also going to have their top players, their top 5, cannot afford to get in foul trouble. They're going to have to get good performances off the bench and find what that rotation is. I think Tom Izzo is going to have to settle on 8 guys as his core rotation.
As much as he wants, and everybody wants talent, does he kind of relish the underdog role a little bit and the go ahead and count us out, we'll show you role a little bit?
He'll accept the underdog role, but he'd rather be the big dog. And I'll tell you one thing. He's got Gary Harris coming in next year. He got the commitment while he was at midcourt on this aircraft carrier yesterday.
Henson lays it in. Carolina in a groove right now, extending the lead.
They're getting out in transition, taking a turnover. You mentioned Gary Harris. He turned down, I guess, Florida, Kentucky, Indiana to wear the uniform of Michigan State.
Appling called for the foul.
And again, Tyler Zeller picking up the charge. He does a great job of setting his feet and drawing those charges. Carolina's defense is taking over this first half.
Third on Appling. We're aboard the USS Carl Vinson. Beautiful night, incredible setting. As Carolina and Michigan State go at it here tonight. Back here aboard the Carl Vinson, a 5-point lead for Carolina over Michigan State. The slipping on the floor continues to be an issue. Here's Andy.
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, we've already obviously had an issue with the logo and tripping on that, but there is some condensation. If you can put your hand down here, you can feel it right on your fingertips. And according to the officials, he says there's obviously a little sea air. And that was one of the concerns, certainly, was a little bit of mist and rain coming into this evening. We didn't really factor in the potential condensation, but as one of the officials just told me, it's kind of like they've seen this before when they have an ice rink underneath the court. Very similar to that.
Yeah, one thing, Andy Katz is going to be the Al Roker of ESPN.
Well, here's the injury suffered by Brandon Dawson. He got his foot caught on the logo. Rather than slipping, it was more like the inside of his foot stuck on the logo. But there's Austin Thornton slipping. Appling slipped once.
Hope somebody doesn't get seriously hurt.
Yeah.
Carolina needs to keep going inside because every time they get fouled, they're shooting 2 free throws. Just need to knock them down.
Tell you what, psychologically, you're Michigan State. You can't allow them to go on a spurt right now and get a double-digit lead after you played fairly well for 15 minutes.
What a nice move by Marshall, going back to his strong side. The lefty lays it in. What a difference he made when he became the starter for Carolina midway through the season. Averaged almost 7 assists per game. Led the ACC in assists and figures. And now with a full season as the starter to put up even bigger numbers as a sophomore.
One thing, Harrison Barnes' numbers went way up once he got inserted in the lineup.
Wood with the high arcing jumper. It's a long 2.
He must love playing against North Carolina. Scored 30 on the Tar Heels 2 years ago when he was playing for Valparaiso.
Scored 24 against Michigan State that year, too. McAdoo, way too strong. Rebound to Strickland, and a foul.
Tell you one thing, Strickland's giving him a little aggressiveness, attacking the basket, made a good pass earlier. You know, you mentioned Valparaiso. We want to send our best out to the Drew family. Both Homer Drew and his wife are battling cancer, and we certainly wish them the best in their battle. Just think positive and have faith.
Foul on Gauna as Strickland steps to the line for the Tar Heels.
You know, Jay, I want to ask Jay this. You've been around the game and watched a lot of great teams. How do you compare this North Carolina team with the 2009 club?
Oh, I think that as good as this team is, and it's a legitimate #1 team this season for Roy Williams, I think the 2009 team was much more powerful offensively. That team, Wayne Ellington and Tyler Hansbrough, the all-time leading scorer in the Atlantic Coast Conference. That team scored 100 points falling out of bed every morning. And you remember when we got to the NCAA tournament, nobody touched them. Nobody touched them.
Yeah, Lawson Ellington and Danny Green. People forget. You know, with Green and Hansbrough, you always have 2 guys. Hansbrough can get you 30 on any given night.
In and out, Trice the miss, and it'll be Michigan State ball. We'll see some of the other highly ranked teams here early in the season in the coming days on the ESPN family of networks. We'll see #2 Kentucky taking on Kansas Tuesday night at the Garden. Duke, #6, will take on Michigan State. Ohio State, #3, plays #10 Florida on ESPN2 Tuesday night. All part of the tip-off marathon.
I think one thing, we're going to have a lot of quality teams this year. You just mentioned some. You throw in Connecticut, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Vanderbilt, Florida. They're all really quality basketball teams. Kids came back to school, said no to the mega dollars in the NBA.
Barnes draws the foul as Carolina continues to push the basketball, and they're rewarded with trips to the free throw line.
That was a smart play by Harrison Barnes. Not the most fluid of moves, but in transition, he attacked, got into the defender's body, gets rewarded by going to the free throw line.
They really get to that free throw line. I was really so impressed when researching for the game, studying the stats, and looking at the fact that last year, the number of times they went to the line, it was unbelievable. I mean, they went to the line last year 878 times. The opponents went to the line 580.
And you know, Dick, as you know, that's not an accident. Roy Williams coaches to that free throw line. You know, his defense, he does not want his defense fouling. They want you to shoot over. Every shot has to be challenged, and you want to limit your opponent to 1 shot. Certainly tries to put on as much pressure as possible, but with the amount of possessions in a game that North Carolina, with the way that they run, they're going to put you in a position to foul. You have to be very disciplined defensively.
Dawson back into the game for Michigan State. Good to see that after the knee injury, and he knocks down the shot.
I'll tell you one thing, if he can start making that perimeter shot with his strength to that body he has, finally Zeller gets one to go down. But I'm going to tell you, Dawson's going to be a special diaper dandy.
What hands by Tyler Zeller to have that ball knocked away and get fouled and still be able to finish that play and make the bucket. That was big time.
Jay, how do you compare him to his brother Cody coming up in Indiana?
Yeah, he's stronger, but I think Cody's very, very skilled, and he's going to do a great job in Indiana. You can play through him. I think that Tyler's a better runner. He runs the floor, I think, the best of any big guy in the country. Really puts a lot of pressure on you at conversion for your big guys to have to run down the floor.
He's certainly at the right program to take advantage of that skill, the way Carolina likes to push.
Yeah, they utilize their big guy a lot of times as their trail man. Over the years, they've had big guys. I remember Brad Daugherty was terrific at that.
They're looking for Draymond Green in the post would be a good move for Michigan State, but also finding Brandon Wood for an open shot because I think he's their best shooter.
You know, Draymond, good passer, good rebounder, but not really a prolific scorer.
Green inside, splits the defenders, but can't finish, and the rebound to Barnes.
I think he's really dangerous down in that post. I think Tom Izzo is going to look to post him even more as the season goes along.
Hey, for young kids watching out there, watch Marshall when he has the ball. Head is always up.
McAdoo with a nice jump hook.
You know, a lot of schools, he'll be starting, playing a lot of minutes. He's going to be a valuable guy to them. Coming off that bench, giving him more strength on the baseline.
He's a James Michael McAdoo is kind of a James Worthy type player with the way he can run the floor. Great bounce. He's going to be really good.
Trice using the screen, a little penetration, knocked away by Marshall, who's called for the foul.
Carolina foul.
Coming up on the State Farm Halftime Show, Hannah Storm will have the news of the day and highlights from today's best action. A ton of action around college basketball tonight, and also the State Farm Shootout, which we'll have for you. We'll call it live. Among those, Tyler Hansbrough is here and is going to compete in the State Farm Shootout at halftime.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Tyler's got to be getting ready, because I'm hearing rumors strongly that maybe the beginning of next week, as we look at the president and his wife, Michelle. Hey, he was teasing me about overachieving in marriage. When he came over, he overachieved. Totally.
You think you can get him into the shootout? He can shoot the basketball a little bit.
He's a driver and slasher.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's a driver. I think I could beat him shooting the jumper. Don't tell him I said that. He's the president.
Fouls on number 20 in the Spartans, Travis Trice.
Travis Trice is called for the foul. His third, so 3 on Gauna, 3 on Trice, 3 on Appling.
2 shots.
And Tom Izzo's depth is being tested early.
Well, it takes away your defensive aggressiveness when you pick up that many fouls, and every time you foul, you're putting your opponent at the free throw line for 2 free throws.
Hey, how quickly they got this up to double digits. Unbelievable. They were really struggling offensively. They start picking up their pace, got a little bit more aggressive.
They got some easy baskets and then got Michigan State in foul trouble and were able to get to the free throw line. I mean, this could be a lot worse, actually, for Michigan State, because North Carolina's missed a lot of free throws and they've missed some easy opportunities inside.
Green with a half step.
That's the 3rd charge that Tyler Zeller's drawn in this first half. I mean, that's really impressive. His defensive vision and seeing how the play develops and putting himself in position. That was terrific.
Yeah, for a big guy to rotate over the way he did, closing off the driving angle, I agree, because a lot of guys, when they become stars, they want no part of that.
Now, I think he was a little bit late there looking at it on replay, but he's drawn so many charges and puts himself in the position to pick up so many, he got the benefit of that call. I thought he was late getting there.
Zeller struggling at the offensive end, but more than doing the job at the defensive end, as Carolina's lead is up to 11, and they could hold for the final shot of the first half.
And more than that, they're in command. They were not earlier in this game, getting dominated on the offensive boards, but now they're in total command. Go to the locker room feeling a little better about yourself.
Zeller knocked away. Thornton comes up with a steal. 6 seconds to go. Wood. And Dawson lost it in traffic. Barnes comes up short from midcourt, and at the end of the first half, they were the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic aboard the USS Carl Vinson. North Carolina with a big run after trailing midway through the half. They closed the half on a 22-6 run in the last 7.5 minutes, and they lead by 11 at the break. Roy Williams not feeling well before the game. Another bout of vertigo affecting him here today, but he said there is nothing in the world that would keep him from coaching this game, and he's got to be pleased with the way his team responded in the last 7 or 8 minutes of the first half of this game. A 36-25 lead for North Carolina. Here aboard the Carl Vinson, waiting for Roy Williams and Andy Katz, as they're going to have a conversation. And Andy is now ready with Coach Williams.
Roy, first of all, I know prior to the game you were battling your vertigo. How are you feeling now?
Well, if we get more rebounds, I'll be feeling a lot better, Andy. We got to make some free throws. We missed a lot of opportunities on the free throw line, and they killed us on the backboards. But how I feel is not material. It's how my team's playing. But I'm all right. It's just not very pleasant, but we got to play better.
How did you guys turn this first half, though, around in your favor?
I think we started playing better defensively, and then that let us get some baskets on the break. But the other thing is we gave up 10 of their first 13 points came on second shots. So I think we got better on the backboards, too.
Through 20 minutes, how much has this lived up to the way you thought it would?
Well, it's a wonderful environment. Let's just hope we keep playing well. Andy, thank you very much.
Thanks, Roy. Back to you, Dan.
Andy, thank you. A 36-25 lead for John Henson of the North Carolina Tar Heels. After the break, we'll join Hannah Storm for the State Farm Halftime Report.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Miller High Life, proud supporter of our vets, and Musco Sports Lighting. We make it happen.
Tina and I stayed up and
Halftime of the Carrier Classic. It's North Carolina leading Michigan State by 11, and there she is, supermodel and actress Brooklyn Decker. Who knew that she could shoot hoops? She's coming up in a State Farm shootout, and her partner is Carolina's honorary captain, James Worthy. They'll take on Tyler Hansborough and the guy who sang the national anthem, B. Taylor, coming up. Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Storm. Welcome to the State Farm Halftime Show on our perch here above the flight deck of the USS Carl Vinson. Tonight's Carrier Classic, certainly a meaningful, thankfully an upbeat ending to what has been a tumultuous week in the world of sports. And a look at some of the top stories to update you on tonight. Penn State assistant coach Mike McQuarrie, a key witness in the child sex abuse scandal that has engulfed that university, was placed on administrative leave today. The move coming after it was announced that McQuarrie would not be present when the Nittany Lions play Nebraska tomorrow because he has received threats. And the latest from the NBA, a 72-game season beginning in mid-December. That's the offer from the NBA owners. The players are considering it. Talks broke off last night. Here was Commissioner David Stern earlier on SportsCenter.
We stopped the clock so we could negotiate, and we came out of last night with a proposal as far as the owners could possibly reach to the players that provides a 72-game season starting on December 15th. The owners have moved to wherever they're going to move to, and this is the proposal that is on the table. If it's not accepted, then we'll be substituting the proposal that the union knows about when the clock starts again, and it's going to be very far from where this proposal is.
Meanwhile, in baseball, Jonathan Papelbon could be spending his 9th inning staring down National League bats. The former Boston closer likely headed to the Phillies for 4 years and $50 to $60 million, pending a physical. It would be the largest deal ever for a relief pitcher. And Tiger Woods shot a 5 under 67, giving him a one-stroke lead over Peter O'Malley going into the weekend at the Australian Open. This is the first time Woods has been atop the leaderboard since the third round of the Chevron World Challenge last December, where he blew a 4-stroke lead to Graham McDowell on the final day. Now, much of the field is teed off already for the third round. Woods, you see him sitting there atop the leaderboard. He tees off shortly. He leads Peter O'Malley by 1 stroke, Jason Day by 2. Woods' last worldwide win actually came 2 years ago in Australia at the J.B. Ware Masters. Meanwhile, it's halftime on the USS Carl Vinson, the top-ranked North Carolina Tar Heels leading Michigan State 36-25 after a 22-6 run to end the half. A look at Draymond Green on this historic night and this most important of days as we honor our nation's veterans.
This halftime show is driven by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Halftime of the Carrier Classic, and the pictures have been nothing short of breathtaking. A look at the island of the USS Carl Vinson and the iconic hull number 70 lit up against the night sky over the basketball arena on this historic occasion as we welcome you back to this aircraft carrier, which is set to deploy at the end of the month. And tonight's certainly an unforgettable experience for these Sailors. So time for them and the rest of us to have a little fun here at halftime. The State Farm Shootout. And with that, we take you back down to the flight deck. Oh, how I love saying that. With Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, and Dick Vitale.
And Hannah, how we love being here on the flight deck. This is fun. We're feeding the house. Everybody here aboard the Carl Vinson can hear us. It's time for the State Farm Shootout. Ready to do a little more play-by-play? You can get through halftime?
Ready to go. I see some superstars out there. I'll tell you that. We got some talent on that floor.
Whoever wins this shooting contest, the State Farm Shootout, a sizable donation is going to be made to a military fund. You can see there are 2 teams of 2 players. There are 6 spots on the court spelled out V-I-N-S-O-N. This is the Carl Vinson. Each team will attempt 2 shots from each letter, but the team with the most baskets wins. We'd like to welcome, there's a representative from a branch of the military with each team. For team number 1, we'd like to welcome from the United States Marine Corps, Lance Corporal Victor Barbara. And on team number 1, we have the gentleman who sang the national anthem here tonight. He played college basketball at Missouri and also served here on Coronado Island. B. Taylor.
B. Taylor in the house.
And his teammate, a guy North Carolina fans know very well, former All-American, current NBA player, Tyler Hansbrough is here. Team number 2, let's welcome from the United States Navy and the USS Carl Vinson, Yeoman Seaman Samuel Hernandez. And on team number 2, the star of the upcoming film Battleship, Brooklyn Decker. And her teammate, former Tar Heel and LA Laker Naismith Hall of Famer, James Worthy. It is time now for the State Farm Shootout to begin. Team number 1, B. Taylor, Tyler Hansbrough. Go get him, guys.
I think we're going to have an Emmer here, a mismatch. I don't think there's any shot whatsoever to be Worthy and Brooklyn Decker. I don't think there's any shot, Jay Billis.
Looks like Brooklyn and James are going to get started. By the way, there is some controversy. Brooklyn Decker was practicing her shot as halftime began.
She's just taking 2 shots? Just 2?
All right. 2 shots from each spot.
Oh.
I know one thing, her husband can shoot the ball, Andy Rado.
Hold on.
He's got a great forehand, too.
And one for James Worthy.
Go ahead, you knock it in.
Brooklyn Decker is starring in a movie called Battleship.
Oh,
Universal Pictures movie, so she spent some time on battleships.
You good, Brooke? Sorry, babe.
1 basket so far for the team of Worthy and Decker as Worthy knocks down another one.
Tell you one thing, he still can stroke it. He's going to have rotation.
Big game, James.
Jamming James.
Let's see if Brooklyn can get one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's close.
That's all right. That was good.
That was a good shot.
That was good. Right over the front of the rim, up high. I love it. I love it.
Oh, right there. She has to use her legs a little more. Got to use those legs a little more. She's a little too stiff to the floor.
That's it for us.
That's it for them. James Worthy and Brooklyn Decker with 2 baskets.
1 of 12.
We got 2. They're not going to get that many.
Here's where the controversy comes in. Mario Lopez was supposed to be shooting, but is claiming a knee injury, and they found Tyler Hansbrough to sub in his place.
Wow.
When Slater claims an injury, he has to be replaced either with Screech or Mr. Belding. This is unfair to have Tyler Hansbrough instead of Screech or Belding.
Here come B. Taylor and Tyler Hansbrough. 2 to tie, 3 to win. Looks good. Didn't get the bounce.
Tyler's got that touch.
Money.
He's got that touch. He got stronger. Look at the upper body.
Wow.
Oh, yes. He's feeling it. Pete Taylor looks good right there. Play for Norm Stewart.
And that's right. That's enough for them to win. They've already that's the ball game. Yep. This is all just for show right now.
Hansborough's not going to quit, even though he's already won. He wants to bury him.
Look at Pete Taylor. He's stroking it as well.
Yeah. Hey, he can sing. He can shoot.
He's got the smooth velvet tone. He's got that velvet touch. Pete Taylor.
I think James Worthy's going to protest. He wanted Mario Little.
You're the other finalist.
Mario Lopez, excuse me. So Mario Little. Mario Little from Kansas, who's already graduated.
Well, congratulations to the team of B. Taylor and Tyler Hansbrough for winning the State Farm Shootout. State Farm proudly continues its tradition of supporting education in America by making a donation to the Scholarships for Military Children's Program on behalf of the winners of tonight's halftime competition and in commemoration of today's day to check for $111,120.11, as in 11/11/2011 here on Veterans Day, is being presented to State Farm Chief Operating Officer Michael Tipsword, to the president of the Fisher House Foundation, Dave Coker. Congratulations to all. The second half is coming up just a couple of minutes from now. Let's send it back up to our Sports Center studio up in the corner of the court. Again, here's Hannah Storm.
Analyzing Brooklyn Decker's shot wasn't enough. We do have the second half coming up. And what an opening week for Michigan State. First North Carolina tonight, and then Tuesday at Madison Square Garden, they take on 6th-ranked Duke. The Spartans are part of the State Farm Classic. That matchup will be followed by 13th-ranked Kansas and number 2 Kentucky. The doubleheader, part of the 4th annual College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. That's 21 games on ESPN Networks.
Madison Square Garden will host 4 legendary programs in 2 heavyweight matchups Tuesday night. In Game 1, Coach K, on the cusp of the all-time wins record, leads the Duke Blue Devils against a young and hungry group of Spartans, led by a man who always likes a good challenge, future Hall of Fame coach Tom Izzo. In the second matchup, John Calipari has yet another impressive group of freshmen. Big Blue Nation descends on New York City as the Kentucky Wildcats meet up with Kansas. Bill Self's Jayhawks have some new faces and are looking to make a big early statement this season at the world's most famous arena, the Garden. 4 historic programs, 1 great night. The State Farm Champions Classic, Duke and Michigan State, Kentucky and Kansas, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
Some of the storylines of the Champions Classic on Tuesday. Coach K currently has 900 wins, just 2 away from tying his mentor Bob Knight for the most wins in Division I men's history. He could break that record on Tuesday. Kentucky takes on Kansas, boasting the number 1 recruiting class in the ESPNU rankings. Kansas, winner of an impressive 7 straight regular season Big 12 titles. Let's go back down to the flight deck now. Dan, Dickie V, and Jay, getting you back for the second half of the Carrier Classic. It's North Carolina leading Michigan State 36-25.
This halftime show is driven by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Welcome back to the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic. Beautiful San Diego. We're just across the way here. Over the bridge on Coronado Island. We are on the flight deck of the USS Carl Vinson. We're at halftime getting ready for the second half. North Carolina struggling much of the first half, now leading 36-25. Dick, as I'm joined by Dick Vitale, Jay Billis. Dick, what changed for the Tar Heels midway through that first half?
Well, they got into transition, forced some steals, got some easy layups, got the ball on the interior, started to shoot a little better on the free throw line, but I think they started to pick it up in terms of they got more aggressive, Jay. They were passive early in the game.
They got much more aggressive on the defensive end, and then they started limiting Michigan State to 1 shot. Michigan State had 14 offensive rebounds in that first half, most of them in the first 10 minutes, and even getting those second shots, North Carolina held Michigan State under 30% shooting in that first half. So it actually could have been worse for Michigan State because North Carolina didn't capitalize on a number of opportunities they had early.
You can see Michigan State had 10 more field goal attempts, but only shot 28%. Carolina shot 50%. Fouls became a problem for Michigan State. Carolina got to the line a lot. John Henson had a great first half, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks. Draymond Green had 9 rebounds in the first half for Michigan State, but they also started swarming him, and he turned the ball over 5 times in the first half.
And that's been a real problem for Michigan State over the last year, is turning the ball over. You turn it over against North Carolina, you're going to give up a lot of layups.
And the president's still here, autographing a basketball. The commander-in-chief addressing the troops before the game. I'll tell you, it was quite a moment. You know, you just experience things in this kind of an event you haven't experienced before. About half an hour before the game, when Air Force One came into sight, and everybody saw the plane land, and everybody knew the president was on his way. Baseline jumper for Henson. How about if he makes that a consistent part of his game?
He's going to be one of the premier players in America. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Block shots, he's agile, he's lean, he's mobile.
And that shot was made possible by Kendall Marshall. Just a little shot fake, and Michigan State leaving the floor off shot fake.
Henson got a piece of that shot, but Adrian Payne on the inside to lay it in for Michigan State.
Their whole game's been on the offensive boards.
Yep.
Very limited to their perimeter game shooting.
Henson again.
Are you serious? I mean, if he's making those baseline jump shots, I mean, that's unbelievable.
He's been the MVP in this game with his block shots, chain shots, and also around the basket.
Tyler Zeller, John Henson, Harrison Barnes, all could have gone to the NBA. All probably would have been first-round picks. Henson got another piece of that one. He should have 5 blocks if they've credited him with the 2 that he has this half, and it turns into a 3 at the other end for Barnes.
You might need a TO right now. I'm going to tell you something. The one thing psychologically you did not want to happen is see North Carolina go on a spurt in the first 4 minutes.
North Carolina's in great rhythm, and Michigan State hasn't been able to do anything to stop that. They've actually fueled it a little bit with some mistakes.
They're showing now why they were preseason #1 in most polls.
Appling with the 3.
That's big. That's their second 3. They're 2 for 10 now. That's 20%, man. That's in my league.
Zeller, good step on the inside. What a nice move.
He runs down the floor and establishes that early post position, and North Carolina gets it to the right angle to feed the post, and Zeller's been much stronger in the second half than he started out the game.
You know, I can understand now why you say he's probably one of the best runners for a big guy, watching him going up and down that floor. He's so quick from one end to the other.
Appling will back it out.
It's going to be a tough balance for Appling. He's going to have to run the team and look to score. They need his scoring, too.
Dawson injured his knee, came back in the first half, misses the long jumper. Back comes Carolina.
See, that's my big concern. When I looked at their roster and I looked at their makeup of their team, my mind simply said, where are they going to get scoring when I look at Michigan State? I don't see a guy that you could say, you know what, tomorrow we're going to get 20 out of him.
Right. Keith Appling just picked up his 4th foul, so Tom Izzo has to take him out of the freshman. Travis Trice is back into the game now with the point for the Spartans.
I think Trice could be a real good player for him. Just watching a little bit of him in the warm-ups, he just seems to have that makeup. You read about his background, his resume.
A true point guard, good basketball IQ and leadership skills, they say.
Father was a good player, too.
Dexter Strickland called for the offensive foul.
You know, a key player for North Carolina, Jay, I know a lot of people say, well, come on, they got enough players. The kid McDonald, he made 51 threes last year. And when you're chasing the dream of cutting the nets down as opposed to just getting in the NCAA tournament, a player like that becomes valuable.
No question. To be able to knock some shots down. Another great pass ahead.
Strickland switches hands, can't finish. Green running the floor, gets back for the rebound. Now Michigan State looking to push. Dawson left hand, no. And Marshall has the loose ball for the Tar Heels. The pace noticeably quicker here to begin the second half. Henson feeling it. And Nick's down with a rebound for the Spartans.
I think more than just feeling it, I think what Jay said earlier is so true. They're in a rhythm.
Yeah.
They're in a rhythm right now.
What a good decision by John Henson to come back for another year, try to win a national championship, expand his offensive game. You're right.
His stock is going up.
You're right.
Just like yours went way, way up. I want to be your agent.
Thornton back in off the bench for the Spartans. I want to be your agent.
Not my agent. I'm at the Swan song, baby. 7-2. I want you two guys a piece of your action.
Michigan State down 15 in the early stages of the second half.
Watch how difficult it's going to be for Draymond Green to get the ball in. He's got to throw it deep to get it over John Henson's long arms. It's a real weapon for North Carolina to limit the amount of good looks you can get off out of bounds underneath.
That size, the size.
Nice lob from Trice to Nix. Derek Nix, you can see the difference in his body, in his skills, having lost all the weight.
You know, you people out there, if you're a Michigan State fan, don't get really to a point where you're so depressed about the fact if they were to lose by 15 or 16. You got to understand, they're not going to face this quality in every game. This is a special team they're playing.
By the way, they play Duke Tuesday night in New York on ESPN, becoming the first team in 35 years to open the season against North Carolina and then Duke. NC State did it back in 1976.
How good is Duke going to be, Jay?
I think they're going to be good. You know, it's a different team. They're not going to be quite as good defensively, perhaps, as they were last year. They'll be more of a containment team rather than a pressure and denial team. But, you know, Austin Rivers, their freshman guard, is really, really good with the ball. But their strength is going to be inside. The battle among the front lines when they play this North Carolina team is going to be something to see.
Great follow by Draymond Green. By the way, stay with us when the whistle blows. We're not going to go to break, even though it's a media timeout. Andy Katz is going to be joined by the President of the United States, Barack Obama, who is here all night long aboard the Carl Vinson, and will visit with Andy as soon as we get a whistle here in this game.
You know, you talk about Michigan State, you think about the Big Ten. Obviously, Ohio State jumps right at you with their club. You know what really surprised me, Dan and Greg? I didn't believe this. William Buford has a chance, as he comes up big there, Strickland, has a chance to become the all-time leading scorer in the history of Ohio State. That surprised me.
They're going to go to the monitor to see if Strickland knocked down a 2 or a 3, and that will take us to the media timeout. North Carolina with a double-digit lead now on Michigan State. 5 minutes and change into the second half here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic, the first game of its kind. A spectacular event, and to add to it, the President is here, and he's with Andy Katz.
Thank you, Dan. And obviously on 11/11/11, Mr. President, you felt it necessary to make this stop on your way across to Hawaii, Australia, and Bali. Why?
Well, first of all, on Veterans Day, obviously we want to say thank you to all of our veterans. The Carl Vinson, you've got 5,000 people who serve on this ship, doing outstanding work all around the world, and so for us to be able to let them unwind a little bit, but also celebrate their incredible accomplishments, it's a great treat.
When history looks back at the Vinson, what do you think they'll say about this ship and its role that it had in the war on terror?
Well, they helped to launch from this deck a lot of the flights that struck into Iraq. They've supported Afghanistan, probably most prominently. This is the last time that Osama bin Laden was on the face of the earth, and so there's a lot of history on this ship, but it all comes down to the men and women who serve on it, and they do a great job.
Everyone knows obviously the significance of Memorial Day. What should be the significance of Veterans Day?
Reminding people every single day that our veterans who have served us, we now need to serve them. So businesses, we're putting a challenge to them. Hire the veterans who are coming back home now that we're ending the war in Iraq. For communities, making sure that services are available for veterans who may need support and help, including military families who are serving alongside their loved ones. So there are all kinds of ways that we can contribute to veterans, and it shouldn't just be on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. It should be every day of the year.
Obviously, this is a huge sporting event tonight on 11/11/11. This week, there was a story that certainly transcended sport at Penn State. And yesterday, two senators from Pennsylvania, Senator Casey and Senator Toomey, rescinded their nomination of Joe Paterno, the former Penn State football coach, for his Presidential Medal of Freedom. What was your reaction?
Well, obviously, the whole situation is heartbreaking. And we think first and foremost of the victims of these alleged crimes. But I think it's a good time for us to do some soul searching. Every institution, not just Penn State, about what our priorities are and making sure that we understand that our first priority is protecting our kids. And we all have a responsibility. We can't leave it to a system. We can't leave it to somebody else. Each of us have to take upon ourselves to make sure that our kids have the love and support and protection that they deserve.
All right, well, on a lighter note, obviously, when I see you in March, you're going to pick the Tar Heels?
Well, I tell you what, they're looking pretty good tonight. Henson's having an unbelievable game.
All right, well, I'll see you in March to pick the bracket.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, Andy, thank you. Watch your back, Dick. He knows what he's talking about. What about the president as an analyst?
I'll tell you one thing.
He likes his basketball.
Huh?
Yeah.
He knows his basketball.
He does. Yeah. He does. Dan Schulman, Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, Andy Katz. Jay, I know you and I spoke on earlier today about an experience. Tom Izzo was a part of it, Operation Hardwood. You went over to Iraq a couple of times and coached members of the military in a basketball tournament, and just a life-altering experience for you.
Life-changing, and the respect and admiration you have for our men and women in uniform after going through that experience, it was just incredible. And I'll tell you, Izzo had an unbelievable team the first year. Second year wasn't quite as good. He had his team out practicing 125-degree heat. They were going to run his sets the right way.
He wants to win, man. He's a competitor. He wants to win like you cannot believe.
John Henson called for the foul. Hoops for Troops, Operation Hardwood. I think this was in 05 and 06, if I'm not mistaken.
05 and 06, yeah.
06 that you went over twice. There's Coach Izzo.
Oh, yeah.
And so in year one, we understand that Tom Izzo's teams, as Jay said, beat Jay's team rather handily. But revenge was sweet in 06, huh?
Yeah, we beat him to go to the Final Four in the tournament the next year. I had to tell him, it wasn't just talent that my team had. He just got out-coached.
Great effort on the offensive glass by the Spartans. Again, look at Nix. Although he kind of lost the handle on the way up, but he is showing some signs that he's going to be a much bigger factor.
What a great look. What a terrific look. I tell you, Marshall, he's got more than just two eyes. I mean, what vision he has. And you guys should really be saluted. All the coaches, you, and everybody else for going out there. I had a thrill last week. I had a chance to address the Air Force Academy, all the cadets, our future leaders. What beautiful young people. Beautiful young people.
You're kind to do that. I know that was a real thrill for them to see you.
Yeah, did it yesterday as well on this ship, you did?
Yeah, I spoke to some of the people here yesterday, and just a bunch of beautiful guys.
About 5,000 people spend their time on the USS Carl Vinson. This ship will hold about 5,000 people. It's 1,092 feet long, about 3 football fields with end zones long, and almost 5,000 people, up to 75 aircraft, 110,000 tons, and they make 15,000 meals a day on this ship just to keep everybody going. And we learned a lot yesterday on the tour that we had about how the aircraft take off and land and all the different missions that they've been on here, and the countless hours that so many beautiful people are putting into keeping this country safe.
You talk about beautiful people, and take a little break here for a moment. I just want to share this. I was having breakfast this morning with my wife, and we're having breakfast down in Coronado, and a sailor came up to me in his uniform, and he wanted to say hello. And then his dad came over as he walked away, and you could see how emotional the father got. He said, "My son has been deployed to Afghanistan, and I wanted to be here with him for his farewell. He's leaving on Monday." And I talked to the youngster about that, and he's so proud that he's going to be going on a ship from here, taking 3,000 Marines to Afghanistan. But I tell you, I got all a little emotional and choked up because I could see the father was so concerned.
Well, we talk a lot about sports heroes, the sailors and other servicemen and women on this ship. They're the real heroes.
Yeah, Jay, you got that right. Anybody that would give their life, anybody that would sacrifice potentially their life to help their fellow man, and that was the essence of my speech yesterday to the troops, about the fact that you truly are our heroes. Your pride, your passion, your love for your nation is so special. And I said, I want you to know that all of us absolutely love you for what you do and what you provide us, the security and the opportunity to have the freedoms we have.
And you can see how excited everybody from the military who is here is to have this event, to have this basketball game on their ship. But I think it pales in comparison to how excited all of us are to be on this ship and to be in amongst all these incredible people who are doing such wonderful things. It's just it's an event that keeps on giving. So far here tonight, North Carolina and Michigan State. Carolina with a double-digit lead, 51-37, midway through the second half. Out of bounds to the Tar Heels.
Looking at the makeup of the game and the way the flow of the game is going, most of the time you say 14 points, Jack, with 12 minutes to go. There's a lot of time to get back in it. But when you look at the composition of the Michigan State team, I find it difficult to believe they can get back in the game.
Well, it's going to be tough, but I think one of the things for Michigan State, that's P.J. Hairston. He can really shoot, and he is going to be an outstanding player here. Great body, can defend. He's the real deal.
He can be a key player for them, because I really believe they need some perimeter shooting to get the defenses to have to extend, to open up the lanes to the interior.
Hairston skying for the rebound and is fouled by Thornton.
I think he's more than just a three-point shooter.
No question. He's got the complete package. He's a really good prospect.
So you look at everything that Carolina brought back, and then the additions of McAdoo and Hairston, and you can see why they're pretty much a consensus #1 pick, although it's November, and obviously a ton can change between now and March.
Let me tell you this. Kentucky is absolutely going to be super. When you look at Davis and Jones and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, are you kidding? Teague, they're going to be terrific. I don't have any doubt that Big Blue Nation is going to something. In fact, people have told me I'm crazy. I would give the edge to Kentucky over Carolina when they play at Rupp Arena. They have not lost there yet under John Calipari.
We're going to look at Kentucky against Kansas as part of the Champions Classic Tuesday night. That game will be just after 9 Eastern on ESPN from Madison Square Garden. Carolina leading by 19 here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, where yesterday our own Dick Vitale took some time to speak to the troops here aboard the ship, an experience that'll be remembered by all.
There is no team better than those that represent the red, white, and blue. You are by far the greatest team ever. And it's been that way for years. Because you are the best of the best. God bless and thank you so much for what you've done for all of us. Thank you.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Act of Valor. Stay tuned for the upcoming Act of Valor trailer in theaters February 17th. And Applebee's. Veterans and active duty military eat free on Veterans Day.
And in recognition of veterans and active duty military, Applebee's distributed these pins to everyone in attendance here at tonight's game. To learn more, log on to Applebee's.com. A 56-37 lead for North Carolina over Michigan State as the Tar Heels continue to run the floor. Kendall Marshall with some great looks ahead. John Henson having himself a big night.
Hey, when you think about Kentucky and North Carolina, you think of the matchups inside with Henson, and you think about Terrence Jones, and factor in Anthony Davis in there with Zeller and company. That's going to be one heck of a matchup.
It'll be a great matchup, and the guards will have a lot to say about who wins that game.
Nick's trying to follow up his own miss. McAdoo comes down with the rebound for the Tar Heels.
See, you young kids, look at Marshall. Head up all the time when he's bouncing that ball. Always looking where he can advance the basketball.
McAdoo turns it over. Dawson with a steal. Numbers for Michigan State. And a block from behind by McAdoo. And Dawson is fouled.
John Henson blocks and changes so many shots. I mean, he's had 5 blocks in the game tonight. Just a tough pass to be able to pick up that bounce pass by Dawson just a little bit behind Trice. It was good that he could ultimately corral that ball.
We have seen on a couple of occasions tonight where a Michigan State player has taken a shot and he has seen Henson, but he has just thought there's no way in the world that Henson can block the shot, but Henson's arms are so long and his timing is so good that he gets a finger on.
Well, I think Jay wanted to go a little further and talk about how many shots he changed. It's unbelievable.
I'll tell you, I watched North Carolina practice earlier this season, and Henson was being guarded by a player in a drill, and he had the ball in his left hand, reached out and dribbled behind the play, crossed over behind the defender. I've never seen anybody do that before. Unbelievable.
You know,
they're going to count the basket.
He's a kid that came in with a big reputation out of high school. He struggled a little bit up and down in his first year. Sometimes players need an extra year or so. Has a little curl move, catch the ball on the inside. There's the interference. But, I think all of us rush to judgment too soon on many of these young kids who come out of high school. If they don't play well right away, we have a tendency to believe that they're a failure. I think some people were thinking that about Harrison Barnes last year. Early.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how you could go that far, but Harrison Barnes might not have gotten off to the start that we expected given his talent level. But boy, he got up to a finish the last 20 games. What, he averaged 20 points a game?
Yeah, 20 a game, shot 46%, had 40, broke a record. He broke a record, freshman record for scoring in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, he was as good as any player in America down the stretch last year. That'll turn it over. Let's go now to Andy Katz, who's with the commanding officer of the USS Carl Vinson, Captain Bruce Lindsay.
Thank you, Dan. And the commander has a vested interest here because your daughter Blair goes to North Carolina. So when you were told by the Secretary of Navy that the Vinson was going to be the ship they were going to do this on, how hard was it to transfer this ship into where the fighter jets are, into a basketball court?
Not that difficult, not as difficult as you'd think it'd be. I mean, in the military, we're good on operations, we're good on logistics, and so you put those two together, and we worked with MEF Foundation there, and started about 2 November and put it together, and look what you see tonight.
What has this game done for morale?
It is huge. It really has helped the sailors. We're going to go on our 3rd deployment in 3 years, and having the president come here and thank them and thank all the veterans, okay, and also the families that stay behind. It's a big morale booster because we're going to deploy here before the end of the year.
And when they go out, what should they expect in terms of how rigorous a trip it is when they leave port?
We always think about a routine deployment. You always hear that, but you never know what's going to happen. So we do a lot of training beforehand so we can handle anything that might come up.
Well, thank you for having us here.
Good. Thanks for coming.
Back to you, Dan.
All right, Andy, thank you very much. It took about 10 days for them to put this together. It'll take about 4 days for them to tear everything down. And all of this, by the way, none of this costing taxpayers any money. This was all privately funded. And again, you can see in the crowd shots, Dick and Jay, how excited the sailors on this ship are to be a part of this event. And they're really into this basketball game, too.
Well, to have all these servicemen and women able to enjoy themselves on this day and to celebrate Veterans Day and to have all of us be able to in such a very small way, thank them. And then they turn around and they see, sitting next to Flip Saunders and Steve Smith in the stands and seeing Magic Johnson and James Worthy. I mean, what a treat for everyone. What an honor for us.
Brooklyn Decker, Mario Lopez. Mario Lopez in the house.
I'll tell you what, I didn't know you were that fast to be able to get on the floor and get your picture taken with Brooklyn Decker.
You notice I ran for Brooklyn Decker, not James Worthy. I'm not that dumb, man. I may be dumb, but I'm not that dumb.
Brandon Dawson with the baseline layup, an 18-point lead for Carolina. And the rebound comes down to Payne. Carolina's next game, they're going to fly all night tonight and go directly to Asheville, North Carolina, and play on the road to open up a new building against UNC Asheville, which is the team that's picked to win the Big South. And so that's a dangerous game for even a team with as much talent as North Carolina has.
Eddie Biedenbach does a really good job. One of the key players right now for North Carolina Asheville will be, a famous singer by the name of Mr. Hornsby, Bruce Hornsby. His son's going to be playing for him as a freshman. He played at Oak Hill Academy. In fact, he's going to sing the national anthem. Where did I get that?
The kid or Bruce?
Bruce. And where I got that information from a North Carolina graduate called me by the name of Curry Kirkpatrick.
Michigan State ball, 8:44 to go. Michigan State will fly home for a couple of days and then on to New York. And they'll take on Duke Tuesday night at 7 here on ESPN, a part of a new event called the Champions Classic, as Appling has just fouled out of the game. Tuesday, as we mentioned, a full day of college basketball continues. With 2 more games on ESPN2, a part of the tip-off marathon presented by Disney Parks. It'll be Miami against Tennessee. That's a women's game at 6 Eastern. Florida and Ohio State on ESPN2 Tuesday night, and also the Duke, Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas games on ESPN Tuesday night from New York.
I think Florida's going to have the deepest backcourt in America. When you can factor in 2 starters returning in Boynton and Walker, and add Rosario and add Beal. Rosario averaged, Jay, I believe, I'm not certain it is, about 16 a game in the Big East when he played at Rutgers.
Yep, he did.
And Brad Beal is a special player.
Yeah, Bradley Beal reminds you a little bit of Ray Allen. So efficient, can really shoot it, doesn't take bad shots. He will fit in really well with that backcourt. That's going to be a nice contrast. The backcourt of Florida, even though Patrick Young is up front, and then the interior strength with Jared Sullinger inside for Ohio State. That's going to be a great game.
I think the name you just mentioned, Patrick Young, becomes a key player for Florida. They need some inside play, and he's going to have to really be steady, especially against the likes of Sullinger.
It's a good learning experience for Keith Appling running the point. He got 2 charging fouls in this ball game. He's going to have to, when he gets into the lane, pull up for those short floaters and jumpers. He can't be getting those charging fouls. I thought the defender was a little late getting there, but so what? You put yourself in the position to pick up that foul and can't do that.
I think ultimately he's going to be moved to the second guard slot, and he's going to be a very good player and give him some scoring, and Trice will be their point guard. That's just my gut feeling looking at them. Time is all find a way to win. I mean, 6 times he's taken them to the Final Four. He's been a coach of the year nationally 4 times. I ran into his wife, Lupe, today when I was walking at Coronado. She was there with a bunch of friends, and she said he's really excited about this club. Great attitude. He said, absolutely great attitude.
They'll have some battles in the Big Ten as always. Ohio State looks like they have a great team. Wisconsin is always there.
Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, Jordan Taylor, first-team All-American.
Hey, as long as they have Bo Ryan sitting on that sideline and they play in Madison, that will never, ever be an easy game for anyone.
Purdue with Robbie Hummel back, so they'll obviously be a factor in improving Indiana team. Michigan's very good. Going to be an interesting year in the Big Ten.
I think Michigan's going to be really good. I think Tim Hardaway has a chance to be one of the better players in America.
Yeah, they've got a freshman point guard named Trey Burke. That's going to be important to see how he comes along because that's a very important position.
And away from the ball, we've got a foul against Dawson of Michigan State to take us to the under-8 media timeout here in the second half. We continue on aboard the USS Carl Vinson, North Carolina, with a 14-point lead over Michigan State here with the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic, a special night for everybody. And welcome back aboard the USS Carl Vinson. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Dick Vitale, Andy Katz. A 14-point lead for North Carolina over Michigan State. We started in daylight. The sun has set quite a while ago, but still a ton of spirit and enthusiasm here outdoors. The weather has cooperated, and everybody's thoroughly enjoying themselves in this such a special environment. Such a great idea by Mark Hollis, the athletic director of Michigan State, came up with this idea some years ago. It took a while to come to fruition. A lot of people putting a lot of work into this to make it happen. And the folks at Michigan State saying as soon as this idea was hatched, North Carolina was the first team that they thought of. Tom Izzo spoke to Roy Williams, and both coaches were on board, no pun intended, just like that.
That's fantastic. I think we could add a little more to it. I would love to see the academies play the first game. Have a doubleheader. I think the people here would get a great kick, see the Naval Academy and play West Point or the Air Force Academy.
Look at you. Big picture now. You're thinking ideas, huh?
Boy, North Carolina's defense has been really solid after the first 10 minutes. And
guess who just blocked another shot?
It's amazing. I mean, he gets so many blocks and changes. I mean, he really does change the game.
Remember Hakeem Warwick's block in the national championship game?
It's very similar.
I mean, John Henson does that all the time. And it's an incredible play. Look at the ground that he covers.
What a wingspan.
Thornton got to step back a little deeper to get the three off uncontested, and Draymond Green, who's been a monster on the glass tonight, comes up with a putback, and don't look now, but it's down to 12. And the Michigan State fans starting to make some noise. The folks in green behind their bench on their feet.
They're all standing up.
Henson the turnaround short, and it'll be Carolina ball.
And they've really scored almost exclusively on the offensive boards when you look at Michigan State.
Yeah, their best offense tonight has been a missed shot.
Yeah.
Well, they have almost as many offensive rebounds. Last I saw, they have 19 offensive rebounds. Carolina has 20 defensive rebounds. That is not going to please Roy Williams, even if his team goes on to win this game. Marshall, offensive foul.
A nice job by Trice to move his feet, stay square.
I like Trice. I really like him, Jay. I think that he has an understanding of the game. He knows, where people are on the floor. He has a feel for it.
He's also got poise, both offensively and defensively. Doesn't get sped up too much, doesn't get rattled.
They got to come up with somebody. If they get a guy who can knock down a three, would be big.
We haven't seen Wood in a long time in this game. Thornton getting a lot of playing time here in the second half.
I'll tell you, they have a player coming in next year, Michigan State does, going to knock down shots. Gary Harris from Indianapolis. And he's ranked as the #1 shooting guard in America by our ESPN scouts, Dave Tellep and Paul Biancardi, Reggie Rankin, who do such a magnificent job of scouting the nation's prospects.
Did you work with him at LeBron James campus there?
I did not work with him. No, I worked mostly with the bigger guys.
Shows Michigan State over Indiana, Purdue, and Kentucky. There's another follow by Green, and it's a 10-point game.
He said, hey, let's miss some shots and get that rebound.
And here they come again.
Wow. What a surprise.
Trice for three. Missed wide right, rebound Zeller.
Not sure that was the decision.
I think you're being kind about missing wide right. That was Brick City.
Barnes the miss, long rebound. Out to Marshall, he'll settle it down.
Well, that was a real opportunity for Michigan State, and Trice took a bad shot.
Tom Izzo is livid with his freshman guard.
North Carolina's got to get the ball to the interior right now, show some patience offensively.
Michigan State continues to do its best work on the offensive glass, and that's why they're climbing back into this game. Draymond Green with a follow, and the Spartans have closed to 10 with plenty of time left in this game. Welcome back to beautiful San Diego. Let's take a look now at tonight's game track, brought to you by Coke Zero. North Carolina, Michigan State, a 10-point lead for the Tar Heels. Michigan State's on a real run right now. Draymond Green, look at the job he's done on the glass tonight with 15 rebounds. John Henson has been spectacular at the defensive end. 6 blocks and probably that many altered shots as well. But right now, Carolina scoreless in the last 5 minutes.
Okay, one thing, Draymond Green, without a doubt, will be one of the premier players in the Big Ten. I don't have any doubt whatsoever. Physical, good vision, good passer. Just got to improve his shooting a little bit.
Yeah, he does everything. I think North Carolina's got to go inside here.
I do. I agree with you. Said that earlier. Got to be a little bit more patient. Got to go down into the post. Let something happen on the inside.
Strickland misses the shot. Offensive rebound. Barnes blocked.
Brandon Dawson is such an athlete. I mean, that was a basket-saving block he had right there.
Yeah, he's going to be a special guy for Danny Dawson.
Michigan State a little confused right now defensively, trying to get their assignments down. Barnes is left wide open, and it cost them. They were scattered from the moment that ball was inbounded.
That's a big turnaround. As you said earlier, Trice's bad shot. They could have got it down maybe to 7. Just really a good, big turnaround for North Carolina.
Big basket to make it a 13-point game and snap that 10-0 run for the Spartans. Green inside. Henson with another one. Michigan State ball. Where's Andy Katz? Andy?
Well, as we've been saying throughout the course of this day in this broadcast, regardless of who wins or loses, this game is for the brave men and women who serve on this ship and, of course, serve across the globe. I'm sitting next to a couple of these here sailors, Lawrence Pops, Jonathan Lawrence, I got confused here, from Arkansas. What does this game mean to you?
It's just an opportunity to come out and see 2 great teams play. You know, our job is very hard, so anytime we get to, see 2 great teams come out here and play and take time off to, enjoy ourselves and, just have a great time in the process.
Lawrence, what has this done for the morale?
It's helped our morale 100% fold to appreciate our sailors, our fellow service members come together and kind of blend in together. As you see, we got Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force, and of course Navy. We all celebrate together as one team.
What's it like on this deck without a basketball court when you have jets up here?
Well, it's very fast-paced. I haven't really got the opportunity to see it first. I'm very new to this ship, but it's very fast-paced, very dangerous, but exciting at the same time.
All right. So once again, obviously, this game is for the sailors here on the USS Carl Vinson, of course, the veterans across the globe and in the United States. Back to you, Dan.
Andy, thank you very much. And Brandon Wood knocks down the shot, the transfer out of Valpo to make it an 11-point game. And again, as excited as the sailors are about having this event on their ship, I think everybody else is even more excited just about being in the midst of these great people who do so much to keep all of us safe.
For Michigan State, Brandon Wood's going to have to give me a point production. He's the guy that's got to put some points on the board. He was a terrific player when he played at Valpo.
Well, after he just hit that 3, Tom Izzo after this time might run something again for Brandon Wood.
Pamela Anderson is here tonight.
I didn't get a picture with Pamela. We didn't know she was here.
It's early. It's early.
She's a late arriver.
Magic Johnson, James Worthy are the honorary captains. A good moment yesterday. We got a chance to get a tour yesterday. The teams, Michigan State, North Carolina, got a tour as well. Now, it's one thing to get a tour of an aircraft carrier when you're a regular-sized person, but when you're a basketball player, when you're Tyler Zeller, that has its own challenges. Take a look at how easily the sailors go up and down the stairs. And then the target, here comes Zeller. Look at Zeller. That's an ordeal for a 7-footer.
Hey, that's an ordeal for anyone. And let me tell you this, going up and down those stairs, I made that tour yesterday at 72 years of age. It wasn't easy.
Later on in the tour, they tried to fold up Zeller like a pretzel and put him in a bunk, one of the bunks that the sailors sleep in, and he got himself in there, but I'm not sure he got out on his own without some help.
Your bedroom's a little bigger. I saw you.
Dawson inside, Zeller with the rejection. It'll be Carolina ball.
Tough to get any shots on the inside.
Timeout on the floor, 3:29 to go here aboard the Carl Vinson. Carolina up by 11.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Quicken Loans, engineered to amaze, and Newport News Shipbuilding, a division of Huntington Ingalls Industries.
On the flight deck of the USS Carl Vinson, the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic.
Here aboard the USS Carl Vinson, 8,111 in attendance here tonight. The vast majority of them members of the military, North Carolina and Michigan State. The first ever college basketball game aboard an aircraft carrier, and the team that wins will receive the Quicken Loans Carrier Classic Trophy, which was constructed by the Newport News Corporation. It is a replica of the ship, and it weighs 85 pounds.
I believe that's twice as heavy as the Stanley Cup.
You would be right, Jeff. A block by Green. Boy, Draymond Green has had a big night. He is, as he often does, filling up the stat sheet in a variety of categories.
You know, he and Henson have been the two best players on the floor. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Again, Green wearing number 10 for Delvon Rowe, his former teammate, who retired as a basketball player prior to this season. Had one more year of eligibility, but the chronic knee problems and the knee pain just ending his career.
Hey, what about the anticipation and rotation of Harrison Barnes to block that shot? Terrific.
Michigan State isolated Draymond Green on the left side, went one-on-one just right into the body of Henson, and that was a really nice job defensively by Harrison Barnes.
Marshall into Zeller. Marshall hangs and hits. Nice drive.
Very strong with that left hand, attacking the goal.
And it's an unselfish play. They throw the ball inside, and Tyler Zeller doesn't have it, throws it back out, and then they attack. I mean, the ball goes in and out of the post so efficiently.
Tell you one thing, if I were Marshall, I would work hour after hour. Nice play there. Nice head fake. Should have converted that. I would work hour and hour on my perimeter shot.
Tried to thread the needle. Marshall turns it over. 3-on-2 Spartans. Wood for 3. Nix with a rebound. Another block for Henson. That's 8 for John Henson tonight. A new career high.
And about 10 altered shots.
Yep. What a night he has had. North Carolina will milk the clock a little bit into the final 2 minutes with a double-digit lead, and it looks like the preseason #1 team of the nation is going to win here against the Spartans.
Some positives that the Spartans can see. They hustled, they scrapped on the glass. They're going to work a little bit more on their perimeter game.
They did a better job of not turning the ball over in the second half, and they didn't put North Carolina to the free throw line as much. They played better defense without fouling, but got to improve their offensive efficiency.
A timeout taken by Tom Izzo with 1:16 to go. Kendall Marshall is a guy, was not a starter until the midway point of last season, and now, Dick, some people feel he's the best point guard in America.
Well, he's certainly one of them. I don't know about being the best, but he's a terrific passer, as Jay said, got great vision. And there's the block shot on the inside. I mean, Henson's been such a dominating shot blocker. You know, you think about point guards. I like Jordan Taylor down there. Certainly, He's terrific. He has great scoring ability, as well as handles it very well in the system of Bo Ryan. Who's some of the other point guards you like, Jay?
I think the best point guard in America is Jordan Taylor. I mean, he's first team All-America for me. For me, it begins and ends with him as far as the best point guard. He plays on both ends.
Right.
Tell you one thing defensively, when we're talking about Michigan State, that they're going to have to work on. I think Michigan State has left the floor on more shot fakes tonight in this game than I've seen them do in the last year. That's one thing I know that the Michigan State coaching staff is going to work with them on.
Tonight's player of the game, John Henson. The player of the game brought to you by Coke Zero. You can see the night that Henson had, all smiles, and he deserves them. 8 blocks, a new career high for the junior.
Tell you one thing, college basketball, we're going to see some really quality teams. No doubt about it. There's Henson working on the inside, good offensive rebound. I'm going to watch him come over with the block shot, the left hand. Now watch this little spin move, the baseline jumper.
Adrian Payne with a two-handed slam for the Spartans.
I'll tell you one thing, I know guys want to battle this all the time. I think we're light years ahead of college football. In college football, you can tell me all you want. They can make their arguments. They say, well, the college basketball season doesn't count like every game counts in football. Oh, really? Every game counts in football? For the teams that maybe got one loss or undefeated. But let me tell you this, Jay. Think about this. In college football, you have a scenario where Houston, Boise State, undefeated, they will never get the chance to fulfill a dream like a Butler did in college basketball to go to the final game. In college basketball, that's a possibility. It's not football.
Yeah, it's an imperfect system. There's no question about it. I mean, I'm a huge college football fan, but
I love college football.
We've got the best ending to a season.
Boy, Adrian Payne making some noise here in the last minute of this game.
He's showing some potential to talk about. But, you know, after a while, that word potential, you have to throw it away. And you got to start producing.
Charge number 10, Draymond Green. Fourth personal.
Well, he's gonna have a really good year.
Yeah,
Adrian Payne's come a long way in the last 12 months as a basketball player. He's got a nice jump hook down the low post. He's really learning the position, learning how to play. He's just going to have to learn how to avoid fouls.
6'11", can't teach that. He can run the court very well. He's got good speed, quickness. I think Michigan State by the middle of the year is going to be a really good basketball team. Not a great team, but a good team.
Stillman White knocks down 3 of 4 free throws. A freshman out of Wilmington, North Carolina. May get some time at the point position for the Tar Heels.
Hey guys, it's been a lot of fun. I haven't done many threes in my time. This is the third one. I did one with Bill Walton. Did one with Dawsburg.
That was the LeBron High School
game. And
game.
I've added Jay Billis to that list.
There will be a concert here after the game for the troops, 5 for fighting, and Billy Currington will be here aboard the Carl Vinson as Austin Thornton misses the corner 3. Shot clock turned off. Carolina's going to win their opener against Michigan State.
Why don't you two guys join me? I got a big party at my house tomorrow for about 15 tennis teams. We're raising money for the V Foundation. It's the Dick Vitale Invitational. Nick Bollettieri's going to speak to all the kids tomorrow night. You're welcome to come.
Tempting.
Welcome to come.
Keep talking. Keep going.
Tomorrow night, my wife's hosting that party.
You got our attention. Now the Carolina fans rising to their feet.
They paid some big dollars, Jay, for those tickets, those Carolina fans.
Well, they were treated to an unbelievable experience. What a night on the USS Carl Vinson to be able to honor our men and women in uniform and these 2 outstanding teams with great coaches. What a pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for having all of us. Thanks to everybody with the Navy and everybody who put this event together. Thanks for having all of us. This was special. And for Tom Izzo and Roy Williams, they were fully invested emotionally in this event from start to finish, as was everybody who was here. One of the highlights, of course, the Commander-in-Chief, the President here addressing the troops, getting here before the game and staying through the entire game, enjoying the basketball here aboard the Carl Vinson. John Henson, an outstanding night, including a career-high 8 blocks. We will have the trophy presentation aboard this aircraft carrier when we come back after this. What a day and evening here aboard the USS Carl Vinson. The President of the United States is here. Was here all night long, addressed the troops before the game. One very special part of an extraordinarily special experience for everybody aboard this aircraft carrier. Such a spectacular event. The first time ever a college basketball game played aboard an aircraft carrier. What a great tribute to and job by everybody with the Navy who helped facilitate this event. As number 1 North Carolina beats Michigan State 67-55. Dick and Jay, when it became time for basketball. Dick, it took Carolina a while to get going, but once they did get going, they got out and they ran a little bit, and John Henson just a spectacular night.
Yeah, Henson had a dominating game, there's no doubt, blocking 9 shots, he rebounded, he scored, but also it was the vision and the passing ability. I love Marshall, he made things happen, and Harrison Barnes had a quiet game, and they didn't have a big night out of Mr. Zeller, who's certainly capable of putting a lot of points on the board, but they showed in spurts why they're the #1 team in America, Jay.
When they needed to, they defended very well. This team is a solid defensive team. They block shots. They didn't rebound as well as they're capable of rebounding. They give a lot of second shot opportunities to Michigan State. That really kept Michigan State in the game, and Michigan State had an opportunity to get it down under 10 with 5 minutes to go, and North Carolina was able to move it back out again. I thought a solid performance, if not spectacular, by North Carolina. Michigan State's got a little bit more work to do.
And again, it was John Henson at both ends of the floor, really, the 8 blocks. That'll be the headline, but he showed an expanded offensive game as well.
They gave him an extra block, so it's up to 9 now. That spinning move, the block shot. I think what impressed me was the way his turnaround jump shots on the baseline.
They showed the complete game, and Harrison Barnes had a very nice game, 17 points, Dexter Strickland as well.
Time now for the trophy presentation. Let's send it to center court with Andy Katz.
Thank you, Dan. Joined now by Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo. And Tom, for 7 or 8 years, you guys have worked with your athletic director to try to make this happen. What were your impressions of finally getting here?
Well, it was a lot better than I thought, and the troops in the military here were unbelievable. Playing a team like North Carolina, who is great, and then they're going to be even better as the year goes on. But I was proud of my guys. We battled, but when I heard those chants with 3 seconds left, USA, as you know, both of us wore the real names on the back of the jerseys, and that was for our country.
You said this was a dream come true to actually play in a game like this on top of an aircraft carrier, and that you were playing in front of the #1 team in the world. What was it like?
Well, Coach Obama did a heck of a job with this team, if you ask me. But it really is. I said in one night we play the #1 team in America and the #1 team in the world. And how do you beat that? I mean, that's as good as it can get. It's going to be a hell of a memory maker for all of us. And I think everybody that was here probably enjoyed it. Neither one of us shot real well, us worse than them. But I still think this is going to benefit both clubs. Hopefully it benefits our military and the veterans that have done so much for us.
Well, thank you, Coach. And joining us now, Jay Farner of Quicken Loans and Matt Mulheron from the Newport News Shipbuilding. They're going to present this trophy to North Carolina head coach Roy Williams. I don't know if the airlines will charge you because it's over 40 pounds.
I'm not picking it up anyway.
No, that's good.
Congratulations, Coach. Thank you very much. On behalf of my team, my chancellor, my athletic director, and all of our fans, and particularly the military people, we love you. We love you every day for what you do. Thank you very much for making this a great night for all of us.
Absolutely.
Roy, your team came into this game as the #1 team in the country. They will leave with that honor. You got to turn around, a quick turnaround, and go to UNC Asheville. What did you learn about your squad on this night?
We can make some bonehead plays, but we can make some good ones as well. And I just loved our competitiveness early. It looked easy. It was 6-0, and then all of a sudden we're behind, and they kept playing. I love that part of it. Tom's club just beat us to death on the boards, and we've got to get better there. But I love my club. They're a great group of kids, and I think they represent our university and the United States of America very well, and I'm very happy.
Before this game started, you said this was one of the neatest things that you were ever going to be a part of. Now that it's over, how do you feel?
It's the neatest thing I've ever been a part of.
Thank you, Coach Williams, Coach Izzo. Thank you, everyone, obviously, on board the USS Carl Vinson on 11-11-11, the Carrier Classic. Back to you, Dan.
Andy, thank you. Great job by you all night long. That's such a big part of the evening, and I think Roy Williams summed it up. It's the neatest thing he's ever been a part of, and I don't think any of us would disagree with that.
Oh, I agree totally, and they say so well. It's the best team of them all, the red, white, and blue, representing our nation with so much pride and passion, Jay. Just so unique, the best team in the world.
Well, from the moment I think all of us stepped on this magnificent vessel, our hearts were beating out of our chests.
No question.
And it was such an honor to be around these sailors, other military personnel, it was a tremendous opportunity, tremendous honor for all of us.
Thank you for everybody who made this possible, from Mark Hollis at Michigan State, the folks at the Navy, Morale Entertainment, our folks at ESPN who put so much work into this. It was an honor to be a part of this, and we enjoyed every moment of it. The final from the USS Carl Vinson, North Carolina 67 and Michigan State 55. Over on ESPNU right now, Coach K going for win 901, Duke taking on Belmont. But first, let's send it back to our Sports Center set high above the flight deck here aboard the Carl Vinson. Once again, here's Hannah Storm.